on the show today. A race is heating up for the top-rated high school football player in the state of Utah. 6A, 5-star talent. You don't get a lot of 5 stars in Utah. The Utes actually have a shot at this one. And sitting in on the show all day today, holding it down for me tomorrow and Friday while I'm gone on fight duties, Zachariah in person. What's up, buddy?
What's poppin'? You know that this is the first show you and I have done live on terrestrial radio in our lives. And I've known you for a good decade. We have crossed paths in San Francisco. I've came down here a couple of times. Obviously, we have the Zachariah Hour every Wednesday. Make sure you tune into that, 1 to 2. Trying to get a sponsor out there, by the way. Any of you people that own businesses that are listening.
Shameless plug.
I'm trying to get my hour sponsored. But this is the first time we have done live terrestrial radio in person, my friend. I'm excited. I'm pumped up.
I almost don't believe that. Because
it's true.
We've done so many.
Well, we did podcasts with Lorenzo Alexander.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done a whole bunch of stuff together.
But never in the same room.
No, we did a fake show when Bill flew me down here, and I was you were trying to push me on the Italians.
When you got flued out by Bill?
Yes. And so we did a fake show, but it was not live on air. This is the first time in person we've done live radio.
And it's extra special today because it's no longer just ethereal sounds and our voices coming through your radio. We've got a YouTube channel up. We are live on YouTube. You can actually see us. Like, subscribe, share, smash all the buttons you're supposed to smash. Let's go. Sean O'Connell Show on YouTube. Spence Checketts and The Drive are going to be on YouTube. All of our programming here is going to be on YouTube.
And who is responsible for that?
That's Alonzo.
No.
That's true. That is true.
No.
Oh, you're right. It's James.
No.
Also true.
No. The kid. Zachariah.
I feel like you claim credit for a lot of things. That probably doesn't belong to you.
I am throwing the flag.
I am the one that pushed it. I'm the one that brought it up. I am the one that you guys were not doing it until Zachariah came in the fold and suggested, why aren't we on YouTube Live?
10 yards.
That's not a 10-yard flag.
Pass interference.
OC, are you going to call me a liar?
I'm just saying that
when I brought it to your attention, you're like, oh, yeah, we should do that. Then you brought it to James. I'm not saying that I did any of the technical work. I'm claiming that I'm the one that got it rolling because I'm the one that brought it up. You would have probably never been doing it if I hadn't said it.
Just so you know, next time that you have a birthday party for your kid and there's cake there, Zachariah is going to claim that he is the reason there's cake at the birthday party. Because he's going to be like, I like cake.
I mean, he did take credit yesterday for the pitch challenge system they're using in minor league baseball.
We're going to get to all of it on the show today, but I actually, even though it's an exciting new era and this is a fun show and Zachariah is here in person, we got the YouTube launched and Alonzo is producing for us today and good things are happening. We're 8 days away from the college football season and Utah kicking things off. I must admit, guys, that I'm pondering a career change right now.
Okay.
To what?
I'm going to go be a college football GM.
Okay.
I'm going to go be a general manager for a college football team.
What does that mean, though?
Effectively, you're just in charge of recruiting and the deployment of NIL funds.
Yeah, because you're not making any trades.
Not yet.
Not yet.
You think that's coming too?
When you get to revenue sharing and salary cap and all that kind of stuff, employees, absolutely there's going to be trades.
I've been saying since your show started, I've been saying that college football is going to turn into the NFL. There's going to be 2 conferences. It's going to be like the AFC and the NFC.
Yes, that. Again, you probably claim credit for that being just your idea, but people have been saying that for 6 years now, and it's true. You're absolutely right. So I'm trying to find my place in the future, and look, I get taken care of here. I love the PFL duties I'm doing. Calling fights on ESPN this weekend in Washington, D.C., by the way. Make sure you tune in on Friday night. I saw what Kalen DeBoer just gave to his general manager. Again, this is not a man who coaches players on the field.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a man who puts you through drills or screams at you in the weight room. This is somebody who's in an operational personnel management role. And they just extend Alabama, where admittedly the resources are flush and plentiful at all times. Operational $825,000 a year to stay at Alabama. And do you know why they gave him $825,000 a year?
Why is that, sir?
Because USC was chasing him down and saying, hey, we want you. We'll give you more than $1 million, is the report. USC doesn't have to disclose any of the salaries. They're a private institution, whatever. But reliable sources are saying that USC wanted to the tune of $1 million plus per year Courtney Morgan, who is the GM at Alabama, to go back to Southern California, where this man is from, by the way. And Kalen DeBoer said, no, stay here. We're going to give you more than $800,000 a year.
I got to be honest. I'm surprised. I think that's low. What does your average NFL GM make?
$2 million, $3 million.
That's it? I'm going to look that up. Highest paid GMs in the NFL. I think it's higher than that. I think it's closer to 5, isn't it? But aren't coaches getting what is the highest paid guy is McVay in LA, the Rams.
It's like a $10 million, $13 million a year job, right? To be the highest paid NFL coach.
Yeah.
All right.
McVay, Harbaugh.
I'm actually, honestly, I think, yeah, okay, here we go. Well, Bill Belichick is no longer. Oh, you're right. Drops off a little bit. Well, Bill Belichick was getting $7.5 million, but he was the coach and the GM.
Okay.
But that was last year. And then it says John Schneider of the Seahawks makes $3.75 million.
Okay.
John Elway made $3 million. This list is obviously old. But like the salaries, yeah, okay. So for college, close to $1 million is probably right on. But I'm not shocked by that. You're shocked by the number? You're talking about changing professions? You're shocked by the number?
Are you making $800,000+ a year to be sitting here in this chair?
I make like $8 a year.
What I'm telling you is that this is another one of those arms race landmark moments in college football. Raise your hand if you had any idea what player personnel general manager positions at Power 5, Power 4, whatever they're called, Autonomy 5 universities. Raise your hand if you knew what this position was paying. If you had any idea what kind of money these guys were making.
I honestly thought it was like a quarter of that.
Nobody knew. None of us had any idea, right? People in the college football circles in those buildings probably have some clue. The average sports fan had no idea. And you know what inflates salaries faster than anything else? Shared knowledge of what those salaries are. Do you know why quarterback numbers are what they are now in the NFL? Because everybody knows what the top guy in the league is supposed to be making, and everybody knows that when my contract is up and I'm renewing, I want that plus 1%, that plus 5%. If we had no idea what Patrick Mahomes was making, if we had no idea what Trevor Lawrence was making, Joe Burrow was making, then when Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy are going to their general managers and saying, I need more money, and they're going in blind, they're probably looking at it and going, yeah, actually, you know what, $40 million a year is enough. That's good enough. But when you look over the fence and you see that Trevor Bleepin Lawrence is making $55 million a year, you say, nope, I need more than that. So what this does is for the University of Utah, for BYU, for Oklahoma State, for Ohio State, for everybody else, it creates a demand that you are also doing this. If you want to compete at the level that Alabama is competing at, you better find somebody who's this valuable and you better pay them this much money. And once again, the financial strain on these universities, on these programs, on these coaching staffs.
What happens is when these schools, so the SEC they brought in Texas and Oklahoma, correct? That's going to up the top of the totem pole's income, which then makes the coaches make more money, which then makes the players' NIL money goes up, and which makes the GM of each college money goes up. And then, you're right. The fact that you know how much they make, and by the way, just by searching it and not bothering to go through all of it, they say in general, an NFL GM makes between $3 and $5 million a year.
Okay.
So the point is, somebody sees that, right? You said that he was sought after from USC. Alabama upped the ante to keep him. So now somebody's going to look at that and go, oh, okay, he's making $800,000. I should be making close to that. It's not going to be like quarterbacks where you're going to make more, because I think What is Patrick Mahomes now? I think he's like 15th in the league in terms
He's
of
10th. He's 10th in the league
Yeah.
in terms of average yearly salary. He's the only guy in the top 10 that has won a Super Bowl. There's only 3 guys that have been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he's, of course, the only one that has won them. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is not even – he's like a 500 quarterback and is the highest paid guy on average in the league going into that insane negotiation that Brock Purdy's coming up on.
Well, Trevor Lawrence really set the bar for – because then a guy like Tua – because I don't think did Trevor Lawrence get a playoff win? I know that they had a big lead and they blew a playoff game, but I don't know if he got a win before that. But anyways, the quarterbacks can look at Trevor Lawrence and go, well, if he's getting that, I should be getting that. Yes. So it just keeps going down the line. And this is the same thing that
this is the problem. You're making my point for me.
Yeah.
This is because Alabama can do this.
Yeah.
And USC could do this.
Yeah.
USC said, "Yeah, we'll give that guy $1 million. We have a printing press for money here."
But you're saying other teams, a la where we're at right now, Utah would have a hard time.
Utah's not paying $800,000 to a GM.
Gotcha.
Like, if Bill Belichick himself was just like, Kyle, I like what you're doing here. I want to come be your college football GM.
Yeah.
They're not writing a check for
okay. So what?
a year.
So what if Utah has the year that you and I think that they're going to have?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
Bobby Blecken
goes,
who helped build this roster and has done a great job as a recruiting coordinator previously and things like that. He comes to Coach Witt.
Yep.
And he says,
look
hey,
what we did.
Look what you did.
Look at the 5 guys that I brought in through the transfer portal.
You just got a $500,000 bonus for winning this championship because of me.
And let's say they have a bye.
Okay.
And let's say maybe even they get 1 win and they lose in the champion. And then some SEC team that's making boatloads of cash more than Utah. And Bobby goes, hey, KY. You know what I'm saying?
That's the problem.
They came to me. They're going to offer me $650,000.
This is what I'm telling you here. That the gap between the haves and the have-nots is illustrated right here by this. This is not even a position coach.
It's a very important position, though.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I put a question on the poll, and I want you to respond on our Dish Pros text line, 877-353-0700. You can text it. You can call me. At Real OC Sports, hopefully Alonzo and Zach retweeted the poll.
At Zach Sports on Twitter, ZAK Sports.
The question I put out there, the poll question I put out there, where do you put the importance of these player personnel GM roles? And I'll tell you, of all the polls I put out on the show so far, this one has the fewest responses. You want to know why? Because people aren't really super aware of what this position is and means in college football yet. It's hard to form an opinion on something that is so novel and new. You didn't call them general managers before. You called them recruiting coordinators. You called them player personnel managers. You called them the head of something else. Now we just call it like it is. We call it a GM. People aren't even sure what to make of this position. But how important is it in college football? On par with the head coach? 30% of the votes right now say that this person is as important as your head coach.
I just voted. That's what I chose.
On par with your OC or DC? 27%. On par with a position coach? 33%. Don't need them? 10%. All of you don't need them responses. I appreciate you weighing in. You're wrong. Unfortunately, and that again, this is my point, if you want to compete at the level that Alabama is at, and Utah wants to compete at that level, Alabama's supposed to be a playoff team this year, Utah's supposed to be a playoff team this year, these are your peers. These are the people you are trying to beat. These are the schools that you want to recruit guys and hopefully steal one. And your GM is going to be super important for that. So you do need him, because if they've got one, I need it too. They've got a fancy weight room. I need a fancy weight room too. They need Xboxes in the lockers. I need that too. They're giving every player a car like Utah did. You think every other program in the Big 12 was not looking around and being like, great, now we got to do that. This is the arms race, and it's insane. And look, $800,000 for a lot of programs, blink of an eye, wipe it off your shoulder. It's not for a bunch of these Big 12 programs. It's not for BYU. It's not for Utah.
And I would just say this. I think most people know how important the GM position is. Maybe they don't know what it is necessarily in college because I've never really thought of a GM when it comes to college. But all you need to do is apply how important it is in the NFL. NFL GMs get talked about all the time. Believe me, OC, when you and I were doing radio in the Bay Area, how much did Reggie McKenzie get covered? How much did I forget who was running the Niners? But, I mean, NFL GMs are talked about a lot. They're responsible for the draft. Now, how much a head coach is involved in that? And I'm sure Kyle Whittingham is involved in what kind of transfers they want to get, how much I'm sure he's semi-involved, but the GM is ultimately responsible for the roster. What did Bill Parcells famously say? You can't blame me for the meal if I don't get to buy the groceries, right? So the GM is responsible for getting the groceries, and then it's on the coach to make the good meal. And I think a lot of people understand that, and the reason why I chose on par with the coach is because, again, if you're making a meal, I think it's just as much as what ingredients you're given as what meal you place on the dinner table.
You're absolutely right. And Kyle Whittingham would tell you the same thing. In fact, he takes every opportunity when we speak to him to say this in some form or fashion. Hey, you know what? We're proud of the coaching job we've done. It's all about the players. Every coach in the country will give you that information in their own words.
But it's evenly split.
It's all about the players. I can't do anything if I don't have the right players. And you know what? We might be seeing that at several Big 12 schools this year. Utah always had a good coach. Kyle Whittingham has always been a good coach once he kind of figured things out as a head man. Once he figured out the culture he wanted to instill, and whether that was year 3 or year 5 or whatever, we can have that debate another day. But it's not like Kyle Whittingham didn't know how to coach football. They had moved into a Pac-12 conference where things were just harder. The guys are bigger, stronger, faster. Even if you have the big, strong, fast guy that's your starter, and then the backup is not quite that big, strong, and fast, when you got to put him on the field, suddenly the product is not what it needs to be. It took an appropriate amount of time, I think, for Utah to become a contender and then a champion in the Pac-12 conference, and that's where they're at right now, and that's why people think they will be a champion or at least a contender in this Big 12 conference. BYU is in this situation right now where they've got some guys that would start at any school in the Big 12. They've got some guys that would start at a Big 10 school, an SEC school. They don't have any backups that would play at those places. They're coming from independence. They're coming from a disadvantageous position roster-wise. Aaron Roderick knows how to coach. Kalani Sitake knows how to coach. Deion Sanders, I believe, knows how to coach. And he might be the best illustration of it. Colorado's controversial, and Colorado's a team that we like to follow, sometimes for the wrong reasons. Sometimes we like to watch them do the right thing. Colorado's, I think, a good illustration of this because at certain positions, he's got exactly what you need. And at other spots, important spots, he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have the horses. When he was at Jackson State, he had guys that were better than their competition. And the results spoke to that. These GMs are massively important. I don't know if I say they're as important as a head coach because a head coach does things even beyond building your roster, right? You got to take that roster. You got to form that roster into greatness. Like Jimbo Fisher showed us what can happen if you have a highly rated roster, but you don't know how to establish a culture. You don't know how to coach them up. You don't know how to do things the right way. Texas A&M bought and paid for the best recruiting classes in the world 2 years in a row and ended up with 7 wins because of it, right? So that head coach, I think, is still more important, but my vote on my own poll is probably on par with that offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, and that is another shift in college sports.
Yeah, first of all, I'm surprised that the top 3 are pretty evenly split on the poll right now position coach, obviously don't need them is ridiculous, but there are some people out there that maybe either don't know how important it is or just don't think it is important. Position coach, to me, yes, they're very important. I'm not trying to belittle how important they are in terms of, you have all these meetings with the position coaches, all the wide receivers meet with the wide receiver coach, running backs down the line. So I'm not saying that that's not important. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, obviously very, very important. But my vote was head coach because I think it's just important is making sure you don't lose guys to the transfer portal, making sure you bring guys in through the transfer portal and recruiting. That, to me, is just as important as what the coach does with what the GM brings in.
CBS Sports put out an article about this move by Alabama to retain Courtney Morgan, who's highly thought of in recruiting circles and player acquisition circles, and obviously highly thought of by Kalen DeBoer, who's been successful as a head coach everywhere he has been. He was phenomenal at Fresno State. He was phenomenal at Washington. They worked together at San Jose State. And to the point that you are making, this article, according to insiders familiar with the situation, as we like to say in the industry, view Courtney Morgan and Kalen DeBoer, who coached Washington to a national championship appearance last year, as like a marriage, and equally yoked, as in they're carrying the same amount of the load. My wife is obsessed right now, by the way, with the equally yoked thing in marriages. It's what we're aiming for. Both people carrying the same amount of the load. This article says your head coach and your GM are carrying the same amount of the load.
Okay, so they vote the same way that I vote.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that's
so why do you go one below? Explain that to me.
So the other question I have too, and this is just me looking at it from like kind of the novice perspective, right? Where the people are saying not as important. So is this person also in charge of retaining guys that are going to go into the portal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole enchilada.
The whole.
Speaking your language,
There
bud.
it is. Thank you.
By the way, do either of you have the
You didn't think that was a good one?
the transfer portal cycle for 2023, 2024 is over, right?
Right. Well,
The
allegedly.
ish, right? Do you guys have any idea how many players, what the total number of players that entered the portal this year was?
I want to say over under. I'm going to go 1,000.
I'd say over under 500.
Okay. You are both way off, and I'm embarrassed and ashamed
Like
for the
3,000?
two of you. 2,700 players.
Wow.
I mean, I was in the neighborhood.
1,000 and 2,700 are not in the same neighborhood.
Better than 500.
That's true.
Hey, if I owe you $2,700 and I give you 1,000, I'm in the neighborhood. It's fine. We're even.
good.
We're good.
We're square.
Hey,
We're settled.
we're equally yoked here, OC. Equally yoked.
Equally yoked. I left that one alone.
So what we're talking about,
Talk about that in the break.
Yeah, we will.
what we are talking about here is a situation where you've got to try and stop this flood of players entering the transfer portal. You don't want to lose a bunch of your own guys. And simultaneously, you want to lose the right number of guys so you have openings for the guys that you now want, the upward mobility guys, the guys that were at FCS schools and the guys that were Group of Five schools and the guys that were all-conference players at Toledo, MVPs in the MEAC conference. Now you got to bring those guys in. The head coach doesn't want to do that stuff directly.
Right.
So this general manager, that's your job.
Yeah, but I'm sure Kyle does a lot with Bobby. I'm
Yes, no,
I'm guessing
100%.
he goes on recruitment trips.
None of this
and
is an
he
island.
looks at guys that are in the portal that he wants to target. I'm sure there's a little bit of lockstep in there.
And that's why I will never put a GM on par with the head coach, because the GM cannot make those decisions, cannot make those calls, cannot make football decisions, cannot strategically do anything, can't call the damn coin toss.
That's your argument. I
That's
got you.
the head coach.
Yeah.
The head coach is the face of the organization. The head coach is, in college football, at least for now, the biggest star for your program.
You're kind of swaying me.
Yeah, I see your perspective.
I see what you're saying.
Like
Ultimately, the GM can only do so much. The coach is the one on game day that's affecting the outcome.
yes.
And where I would counter that, though, is, I mean, as you alluded to, Kalen DeBoer and the I forget his name.
Courtney Morgan,
Courtney
yeah.
Morgan, thank you. They're tethered, right, is what I've gathered. They're tethered at the hip.
They've worked together everywhere, and it works. And it's a system that benefits both of them.
Right.
And it's now benefiting Courtney Morgan to the tune of $825,000 a year.
I mean, I'm all about getting your boys a bag, so respect there.
By the way, somebody just text in, and you can do public records requests, and you can find out exactly how much all of the people on staff at the University of Utah and the football department make. You can look at their you can look at their numbers because it is a public university, right? I'm not going to put Robert Blecken's business out there directly, but I'm going to say that he is well short of Courtney Morgan by an order of magnitude in terms of his yearly salary. Yeah. Now, that could reflect a lot of things. It could reflect like Courtney Morgan is more important to his program than Blecken is to this one. I don't say that to insult Mr. Blecken at all, just like we know that Kyle Whittingham doesn't always dole out responsibility easily, right? Maybe he's a little more guarded in carrying those duties himself and for his position coaches and things like that. But I pointed out to say that let's say Alabama wins a national championship under Kalen DeBoer. And everyone in the country, Utah, BYU, Utah State included, is looking at it and saying, well, once again, Alabama is the gold standard in college football. We got to do things the way that they do them. That means we have to sextuple our general manager's salary. And that becomes problematic for most programs in the country.
Sextuple. I would like to ask you about Scal and Ludd and where they compare with Bobby.
More important. Undeniably more important.
No. I mean salary-wise.
Well,
what are the rankings of those three?
Oh, I mean, well, Ludd and Scally make exponentially more than what's listed.
Both Ludwig and Scally are more than $1 million. It's like, I think it goes Witt, Scally, Ludd.
Yeah. And I think those are the three highest.
And where's Bobby?
See,
light years below?
Way below.
Gotcha.
Like, Bobby's below the position coaches.
Oh.
Well below.
Huh.
Yeah, Coach Witt, Ludd, and Scally are the highest paid employees in the state of Utah.
So what we're looking at is, again, and we're going to get another dozen of them this year in college sports, but these are watershed moments. This is a landmark in how rosters are built, how college football and college athletics are conducted in a new era of transfer portal, player movement, no restrictions on how many people you can have on staff. There's just a lot of things that go into this, and perhaps the most important one is that you have to continue to rake in the dough so you can redistribute it to people who are helping you win. I will never in my life scoff at an amount nearly $1 million a year. Alabama can. USC can. I look at this and I say, man, it's going to be hard to see Utah, BYU, etc., Oklahoma State doling out those kinds of funds for a GM. Good for you, Courtney Morgan. Good for you, Alabama. Good for you, Kalen DeBoer. Take care of your people if you can. But this becomes an issue as we move forward in college football.
So here's the real question. If you become a GM, you change this career choice, are you bringing us as a part of the tethering of that, or are we just on our own?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, of course I'm bringing you guys along. Right. The catch is,
oh boy,
I'm making $800,000 a year. You're making the same you're making now. But you get free gear.
What?
That's going to be like, well, at least my tax bill will be chill. I mean, $8 a year, like that tax bill is going to be so chill.
As always, the opening segment on the Sean O'Connell Show, which is now on YouTube, by the way. Like, subscribe, come watch us. Brought to you by Alvi Armani. So if the hairline is retreating, if your hair is thinning, gentlemen, even ladies, AlviArmani.com. Let them help you out. The technology is there. You don't have to suffer with hair loss anymore. The voice of the Bees, Tony Parks, joins us in studio next. He was kind enough to give us some VIP treatment at the ballpark last night. We'll talk about the Bees and this upcoming college football season on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700.
Jordan Noyes kicks it off. It's a high end-over-end kick. Backpedaling and taking it. K.D. Nixon 2 yards deep into the end zone. Nixon trying to get to the outside. Breaks a tackle, and then he's tripped up at about the 17.5-yard line. University of Utah covering that well, and it was Hayden Fury, the backup linebacker, that made the tackle. So USC will begin things with about an 83-yard field in front of them. And Scott, the guy we'll keep an eye on tonight, wears number 15. His name is Drake London, and he's the best wide receiver in the Pac-12, maybe the best wide receiver in college football.
Yeah, and I think USC will come out and try to just get quick passes Let athletes go on athletes and just say our athletes are better. But, yeah, Drake London is going to be a challenge for Utah tonight. It'll be interesting to see how Utah handles it.
Keaton Slovis brings out the offense. 1st and 10 from his own 17-yard line. Keontae Ingram in the backfield with him. A 3-wide look here on 1st down. A play-action pass. Pocket collapses. Slovis throwing to the outside. It's caught at the 30-yard line by Drake London. His 49th catch of the year. 17, making a 13-yard gain on 1st down. The pass rush was there. It didn't quite get home, and he completes the first pass of the game.
Yeah, and they're kind of getting to Slovis quickly, but that's just too easy of a throw. It's one-on-one here, and then Drake London won that one-on-one.
1st and 10 at the 30-yard line. Turn and a give and a play-action roll. Firing to the outside. Flanker screen. That's Bryant. He's got it to the 40 and cut down at the 43-yard line. Gary Bryant. Freshman who's having a terrific freshman year. They're going to go with some tempo now, will USC. That's a 13-yard gain and another 1st down. And USC off to a good start throwing the football.
Yeah, I mean, they go 20 yards here, 40 yards.
It's familiar. He ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown against Utah in the Alamo Bowl a couple of years ago, playing for Texas. Slovis going to change the play at the line of scrimmage now. He sees what he likes in the Utah defense. Now they shift around. Slovis on 2nd down and 9, hands it again to Ingram straight up the middle. Keontae Ingram 2nd level to the Utah 49-yard line. It'll be a gain of about 6 yards, maybe 7. It'll be 3rd down and 2 coming up here for USC. Yeah, and this is the money down.
No question, money down, but an interesting play there. Utah had everyone lined up on their right side, and then USC changed the play, and then Utah went away from it, and they ran right into where all the other players would have been. They should have stayed where they were.
So 3rd down of the evening. Utah crowding the box. Slovis takes and gives on the fly sweep to Drake London, who's got 1st down yardage at the 45. He needed 3. He picked up 5. They do a little bit of everything with Drake London. That's a gain and a 1st down for USC to the Utah 45-yard line.
Yeah, it's like a jet sweep without the jet part. He just kind of at the snap just takes it. And really, all it is a normal sweep play to the outside, well blocked, well executed.
Kind of a Cessna sweep more than a jet sweep right there. So 1st down and 10 USC as they have the ball on the opening drive. 12:24 to play here in the 1st quarter. 1st and 10 from the Utah 45-yard line. 4-wide look now for Slovis. Brings the receiver in tight, hands it again, this time to Ingram. Stacked up at the line of scrimmage and driven back Keontae Ingram. They tried to spread Utah out that time, and Utah was ready. A 1-yard gain. Tackle right up in front by Devin Kaufusi.
Yeah, and Utah is really stout against the run. You still have to honor that run, even though USC is going to throw the ball a lot.
2nd down and 9. They empty the backfield now. Keaton Slovis stands by himself with a 5-wide look from the Utah 44. Now
You're tuned to the Sean O'Connell Show from the Murdoch Chevrolet studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, and we are on YouTube, so hopefully you're watching now. Not just listening, but also watching. Make sure you subscribe to the ESPN 700 YouTube channel. Lots to discuss on the show today. Alex Markham's going to join us in about an hour. We're lucky enough right now to welcome the voice of the Bees, my friend, longtime veteran of Utah sports airwaves, Mr. Tony Parks. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. I love it. Yeah, you guys were in studio last night at the ballpark. That was a great time.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a bother was that? Because you were a pro. You didn't break stride, man.
Nah, 0, man. It was great. It's no problem.
I was just thinking if I was doing that, because you're spinning a lot of plates and you're looking at this, you got to make a read here, and then you got to go ball in the dirt, 0-1. And I was just thinking, I don't want 3
yahoos.
Yeah, 3 yahoos
standing behind me whispering.
Loitering, whispering.
So you guys are just hanging out watching, right?
Yeah,
right. So one thing I always try to do in the broadcast, I mean, there's a few different feels that you try to give. I love it if it just sounds like we're sitting there watching the game together, right? Now there's some description I have to get into to play to the radio audience and things like that, but I love telling the story of the game, the story of the players, and also keeping people informed. But also I want them to enjoy the easy ability to listen to it as if we're hanging out watching the game together.
Yeah.
So I love that feeling.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk some football with Tony here in a minute, but the Bees right now in the playoff hunt.
Man.
We saw a nice offensive explosion last night.
Great game.
We had a lot of
triples, home runs, double ups. By the way, I was sitting there just brooding If that game had ended when the guy there was a fly ball to right field, there was runners on first and third, and it would have been an easy sack fly, and the guy got doubled up. So I was like, if they lose by one, I'm going to torch the airwaves for that kid. You cannot get what was he doing?
See, but what you're doing now is totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Sorry.
It was fine. It worked out.
He was trying to steal second, man.
He was trying to.
Got to get back when the ball's hit, man.
Yeah,
he tried.
We're gonna throw the flag on some of the stuff we saw at the baseball last night.
Yeah.
But this team is we got this going on with RSL right now. We got this going on with the Bees right now. I think we're gonna get this with some of the in-state football teams sooner than later.
Agreed.
There's a little groundswell. There's some fun happening right now, and the Bees are in the hunt.
They've won 4 of the last 5. They had a 12-game win streak earlier during the second half of the year. So they have a first half champion, and they host the LCS at the end of the year. The second half race is on, and the Bees have been great for most of the second half. They're just a couple games back, but playing great baseball. 4 out of the last 5, a quality start. The bullpen, for the most part, continues to be shutdown city. A number of guys emerging, starting to come along. Wagaman, who hit the home run last night. Great to see him start to break out. And it feels like every night somebody's going to do something special. And when you're around that every day, it's an amazing feeling. We were talking about it at the ballpark last night, the staff. It's cool to be around this all the time. You can feel it in the crowd. You can feel it when you're around the team and in the office. You don't get it that often. And in the last year of the ballpark, so you just soak it up, man. It's just fun. Every night, something different.
You mentioned the home run. Does every stadium do the flashing lights thing? I kind of felt like I was in the club, but I loved it.
I love it, man.
That was great.
We started doing that a handful of years ago, and it was absolutely something that becomes special. And we get into the details of exactly how to time that, exactly how to make sure the music and everything comes together, because I was overseeing fan experience before taking over play-by-play.
Okay.
And so it's cool to see that now as a broadcaster and soak that up.
Yeah.
By the way, they had to get the light technology at parks had to catch up to make that a possibility. When we were coming up, those old metal halide lights that had to warm up for 30 minutes.
Oh, it was
you shut those bad boys off. And it's just
they ain't coming back on.
That Tony's voice coming over the PA. Sorry, everybody, it's going to be dark in here for 15 minutes.
Here comes the dizzy bat race. All right, here we go, everyone. Now, don't get hurt. No, that was the worst too, is because you'd be like, yes, we're in a light delay. They're like, lightning? No, light delay. We'll just turn it back on. We did.
Someone leaned against the wall and hit the switch on accident. And now the lights are off. So it's going to take
We'll see you in 30.
It's going to take us some time.
And if there was one bank of lights, it would be one. And you're like, yep, sit here and wait.
I want to talk to you about the craft of play-by-play. It's something I've grown more and more obsessed with. Obviously, I'm doing it now myself. On the combat sports side of things, I've had some fun doing it way back, Utah Blaze football all the way back in the day. But it is... To me, it's an art, and it's an art form that sports fans, I think, once you get to age 40, where we're all kind of sitting right now, you really start to appreciate it a little bit more. You take it for granted when you're watching TV because all those guys are pretty good, and now you're the full-time voice of the Salt Lake Bees, and you filled some huge, impossible-to-fill shoes in doing that. And we were standing behind you last night, and I was like, my guy sounds incredible, has his own cadence, his own tone, has his own storytelling style, and I just want to know how you came to that for baseball, because I've heard you in football too, and it's a little bit different from football. But your baseball style, Tony, is as good as you can find.
Well, thanks, man. Oh, that really
no, seriously, and Vin Scully, we have to add this to my folders though when he just reads off a grocery list. But Vin Scully had that, and
he's the GOAT, man.
Well, but it was just the way that it was his voice, it was his knowledge, it was his storytelling. But like OC said, the cadence is so important, and the way that you have to weave in, on the corner, 1 and 2, and then you go into, this coming up, or you're talking about this stat, or you just, it was good, man. I was seriously impressed.
Well, thank you. Yeah, to me, it is an art, and I love that in baseball. I get a new canvas every day, a new canvas, and it's never the same. And as I go ahead and weave through, the game decides so much of what's going on. But I love to humanize the experience for the players. To me, the human element is the number one thing. I love to humanize the experience for that, and I want the audience member to enjoy the sounds and the feel of it. And then, so I really want to connect the player to what's happening. I really want to connect the audience to what's happening. Also, the excitement of being there. I like to try to communicate what it sounds like, feels like, and looks like out there. So some people are watching it on the online stream. And then I like to play to that while also playing to the audience member listening on the radio.
Do they show you at all? Do you have like a setup?
No,
like this?
they don't.
You need to do a YouTube live.
I know. I would love
take them behind the scenes.
We're going to keep piece of that together. But like this year, our TV deal was kind of done like during the season. So we ran like we were. Relentlessly going after it, because what I love with the team that I work with is we don't want something that's good. We want it to be the very best it can absolutely be, and then we want to just keep growing on that. Like we want to get it to the point where it's something we can be proud of, get it to championship level, and then we want to run up the score, and then we just want to keep growing on that.
That's Kyle Winningham.
Yeah.
Whatever you got to do to be the best.
Well, yeah. So it's really great, and I love the mentality of each person that I work with, because you can feel it and sense it from them. There's this immense pride. So where it came from though was honestly just growing up around sports. Grew up watching Cubs games on WGN. And Harry Carey just had this ability to give this feel and this sound. Like you wanted to be there. You wanted to go to Wrigley Field. You wanted to experience that.
Isn't it crazy? I don't know if he's around our age, but everybody has a WGN story.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
totally.
My best friend is a hardcore Bulls fan. Now, it helped that they had Michael Jordan, but you got all the Chicago.
Yeah,
my brother was a White
WGN.
Sox fan because they played White Sox games. How ridiculous is it that no matter where you were, you had Chicago sports and nothing else?
Unbelievable branding.
And living in the city now.
It's like Notre Dame.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Notre Dame, NBC.
So you grow up, and now living in the city and being around that is like really cool. There's something great happening all the time, but that was really great. Steve Stone was actually the star in our home, the analyst. He's now the analyst of the White Sox. I think he's the best. And it was so great to learn so much about the game, but also to be able to have fun, to be informative, to not talk over people, to not like make it about you, to just really let it be exciting and fun, and then also have it be informative and make it something that people might look forward to, when they tune in.
So one of the really interesting things, if you haven't been out to a Bees game this year, you haven't been watching any minor league or listening to any minor league baseball, they're trying out this pitch challenging system.
Oh, we're going there.
Oh, last night.
That lady was like 1 for 20, Tony. Oh, man.
Yeah. It was
brutal.
Most nights. What's crazy about, so I like the challenge system. I think it's great.
I think it's awesome.
What was really great about last night is if you end up with a home plate umpire who's having an off game, because they perform. Umpires perform. And when you're a home plate, I've officiated. I had games where I was like, gosh, I don't know why. I just could not find rhythm. I could not find like that feel. There was something that just didn't feel right. It happens to an athlete, and it happens to an umpire. What I liked about the challenge system last night, and yes, there were a number of pitches overturned. Instead of it turning into a 17 ejection game, screaming, yelling, and a circus, it was tap the helmet, show the review, challenge. The count is now 2 balls and 1 strike, right back to
That's
her.
true. I didn't think about it.
That's what I loved about it.
And it was slick. It was smooth.
Right.
It doesn't take as long as you think as you're sitting there listening and you're going, oh, no, not more reviews. It's not like in football. It's
quick.
Where the referee's got to jog over to the little hood.
Talk to New York.
Go to commercials.
It's none of that.
Gosh.
It's a real-time experience, and we're sitting in the ballpark. Doesn't take away from the experience at all. And, look, you get the pitches right in that case.
It's a lot like tennis. In tennis, it takes 2 seconds, and then you don't have John McEnroe throwing a fit on the sideline at the ref. You see it right there. So, and you're right. I didn't even think about that.
It's
no
objective.
ejections, no coaches going crazy, no Aaron Boone losing his mind and getting thrown out.
I mean, it's got to be in the majors next year.
I would love
for
to see it
sure.
there. Just make sure it's consistent, make sure it's 100% accurate and all that, and then the process is smooth. I think we've reached that point. I say it every time. The umpires in the game today are head and shoulders, lights out, no doubt better than they have ever been in the history of the game. You go back 20 years, 30 years, you watch some of these games, you're like, whoa. Like, what was that? But that's his zone, and that's the way he's calling it.
Yeah,
and it was so lame.
Yeah.
As long as he's consistent, it doesn't really matter. Oh, it matters.
Yeah.
If you give Maddox 8 inches off the plate, it's over, folks. So
How many challenges do you get? Because it seemed like it was
you get
unlimited.
you get 3, but if you're where it's great is if you're right, you keep it.
Gotcha.
If you're right, you keep it. And so what's cool watching that is throughout the night, it happens. But right now, at the major league level, we are seeing people melt down over a quarter of an inch off the plate, and we're seeing ejections over millimeters here, and then sometimes screaming matches over calls that are correct. You're like, what are we doing?
I will miss the screaming match, though, if it goes away completely.
It's true.
It's so great when you get that, especially when it's a super out-of-shape umpire.
Yeah.
There's a chest to chest with the manager.
Well, you remember the guy that took the base, threw it, then he pretended like he was in the Marines or something?
Like a double-A game.
Took the rosin bag and threw it as a bomb.
Yeah. Like,
I'll
some
miss
of those
that too.
moments. I'll miss some of that, but I don't want us to get to a situation. This is the slippery slope. I don't want us to get to a situation where you're getting rid of umpires and you're just relying on the computer, and it's just robot overlords managing our sports. I don't want that, but this system I thought was really neat. And last night I think, fourth game I've been to this year, and last night was the most prevalent usage of it.
Yeah, that was a true outlier. So I've done 121 games, let's say, this year. That was the only time we've ever had it
that many.
where it was like that. Yeah, many times.
It was crazy.
You'll have some here and there.
I felt bad for the ump.
You'll have some here and there, and more times than not, you're going to find a game where you're like, oh, okay, that was outside, but I mean, the ball was right up against the edge.
They were all super
And then
close.
there's times where, the umpire actually got that right. Okay, it's actually showing how good these umpires are, not how bad they are. And you have a 1 out of 120 games where last night happens and challenge after challenge, and the player was correct, and you're like, all right.
Well, Tony, we had one of those moments, when a team's down like 40, and then the team scores a basket that's losing, and there's like a fake applause. We had one of those moments where she got one right, and everybody applauded because it was like she had gotten like 9 in a row wrong.
Last thing before we let you go, you got a guy with 20 homers right now. Are we looking at a call up coming for Keston?
Yeah, he's had a call up before. And it wouldn't surprise me if he was called up again. He has like 20 homers in 36 games with this team.
That's right.
And he'll just every night you go to the ballpark, I said it on the call last night, it's getting to a point that if you go to a game and it involves Keston Hiura and he doesn't hit a home run, keep the ticket because you could say you were there when he didn't. It's ridiculous. Every night you just expect him to do something great. And so he's fun to watch. This team is really fun to watch. Saturday night, by the way, daddy-daughter date night at the ballpark, princess night, yes.
That's funny because OC felt bad when we left his house. His daughter said, "Can I come?" And he was just like, it's a boys' night out.
Okay, this was a parenting. This was throw the flag on me.
Yeah.
Hopefully only a 5-yard penalty. But my daughter was like, hey, I want to come to the Bees game. And I was like, because we were planning on, these guys were going to have their adult beverages and whatnot. Right. And I'm just like, no, it's just for dads tonight. And she goes, well, is the train running? I said, no, they're not going to run the train.
No. Yes, they were.
Of course they were. I lied. I'm so ashamed. I lied to my sweet little daughter.
It's okay.
Unnecessary roughness.
Oh, no, this one's, this one's under review.
15? 15? No, I'm only giving you a 5.
Okay,
let's compromise at 10.
No, the little white lie,
holding.
It ate at me for the rest of the night.
Especially when the train was running.
Saturday night, 6:35, gates open at 5:30. The princesses are in the house.
Wow.
We're going to have fireworks after the game. Kids get to run the bases after the game. Daddy-daughter date night. And as
great promotion.
What Harry Dunn would say, you get a chance to totally redeem yourself.
Yes.
Like,
you know what?
This is, it's a penalty. You're behind the sticks, but you can always convert. You can make a big play. This is your chance to make a big play, man.
By the way, that's a 5-yard flag. It wasn't Harry. It was Lloyd.
Oh, come on.
That said totally redeem yourself, Dumb and Dumber.
No, Harry.
No.
Yeah, Harry.
Oh,
Lloyd.
Oh, that's
Christmas.
15 now.
Yes. 15 on you.
You're right. Lloyd was the one that got the bike.
That's a borderline ejection.
Yeah, I know.
What are you doing?
Yeah, penalty box.
That's targeting.
Penalty box.
You're about to get yourself out of here.
I might have to sit the next segment out.
But that's your chance right there. I'm telling you, man, that night, it's so funny because like when people first start working there, I'm like, that is the biggest night. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no, guys. Listen, the big man in the red suit, he's got some clout. He's got nothing on these princesses, bro.
I'm going to be back. I call fights in Washington, D.C. on Friday night. I'll be back early Saturday morning.
Okay.
You got no
Saturday
excuse.
night is free. You're going to see me out at the park.
Talk to me and let's see if I can get you on the field. I've been in that spot where maybe I've dropped the ball and didn't realize how big a deal the half birthday thing was. It's a big deal now.
Oh, okay.
The half birthday is like a big deal now.
Really?
I was like, oh, cool, yeah. Oh, I thought it was like,
So wait, people are celebrating like 3.5?
I guess.
You're saying half birthday.
Half for 6 months.
Oh, okay. But what
Gosh,
about
you're
like
off again?
No, but what about like 5.5? Do you
like a
celebrate
baby.
that?
Like
I
a
don't
little
know,
bit.
man.
That's what
no,
I'm
no,
saying.
the half birthday, like just 6 months
Just
old.
the first time.
Yeah,
Okay.
just the first. So I was completely like, what am I doing here? What? I did not. I way underestimated that. So, along the lines, you find a way to do it. Daddy-daughter date night's a big deal. Ballpark, be there. It's going to be a good time. Not to mention, the chase for first place. I mean, this thing is going to be a blast, man. So
please get out to Smith's Ballpark before it's gone. That one of the most beautiful places that you can take in baseball in America. All right, well, I'll see you Saturday then.
Man, there's nothing like seeing you behind the mic, bro. I got to tell you, you being here, there's certain things that just feel right, where it feels like things were right in the world, and you hosting a show every day and having a chance to tune in, I got to tell you, man, just personally, the way it feels, it's like, yes, things are right again.
I appreciate you saying that.
You bet.
Voice of the Bees, Tony Parks. You're going to hear him on football games this fall as well. We got to cut him loose. We're giving away Bees tickets right here on this show in 7 minutes, so make sure you stay tuned. When we come back, a little quick segment. We got to throw some flags on what we saw at the ballpark last night. Some players and the tomfoolery. We just have to get into it.
All right.
Sean O'Connell Show on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700.
Two tight end look. TJ Pledger in the ball game. Cam Rising at the line of scrimmage, changing the play. First down handoff. Pledger into the hole, spins off a tackle, gets to the 16-yard line, picks up a yard, and that's it. They ran right at the teeth, and Utah got no push up front that time. Tackle on the play by Rover linebacker Raymond Scott.
Yeah, this is just a straight-ahead zone read here. The tight end pulls and tries to seal that backside, just gets there a little late and kind of gets the play blown up. But, this Utah team's got to come off the ball here.
4 wide look on 2nd down and 9 from their own 16. USC with 4 at the line of scrimmage, 7 in the box. Play action, flanker screen thrown out into the flat to Britton Covey. He's got it at the 20 and spun down. That's Brant Keithy, actually, who came up with that grab. We're a distance away from the field. The 8s and the 0s get mixed up. Keithy picks up about 4 on the play. 3rd down and 5 coming up.
Seeing a better job of 2nd down. Utah's shown so much run on 2nd down, and this is a high percentage play. It's almost like a running play still, and now they're in a manageable 3rd down.
4 wide look on 3rd down and 5 from the Utah 20. They bring Keithy into the left slot. Cam backpedals, looks, fires outside, caught, complete to the outside, but taken down after a 1-yard gain. Mekhi Bernard out of the backfield. USC strung that out, used that athleticism and their speed to get there, and Utah's going to have to punt on a 3 and out.
Yeah, and Cam's got to make a better throw there. He threw it a little bit behind Bernard. He gets it to him in stride. He can turn that shoulder upfield and maybe miss a tackle, but get close to the 1st down.
Gary Bryant back to receive. They've got an off-return man as well back there. Cam Peasley stands at his own 8-yard line to punt this ball away. USC is going to set up the return here. Peasley's punt. Good spiraling kick. Looking up into the sun is Bryant. He takes it at his own 35, and he is going to be wrapped up and taken down immediately at the 35-yard line. Good kick coverage that time by the Utah special teams. Like Clark Phillips was down there doing it. Timeout on the field. Both teams have had the ball. Both teams had the punt. 9:03 to play here in the first quarter from the LA Memorial Coliseum and the Big O Tires broadcast booth. Today's Utah football broadcast being brought to you proudly by Bud Light. Utah fans, welcome back to Rice Eccles this year. This year, Bud Light is for the fans. I'm Bill Riley. That's Scott Mitchell. Slides downstairs with the LA Memorial Coliseum. 9:03 to play first quarter. 0-0 our score. Both teams had the ball once. SC moved at the midfield, had to punt. Utah went 3 and out. SC has it 1st and 10 at their own 36-yard line. I thought it was a pretty good effort by the defense on that first drive, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what you're seeing, playing downhill, playing aggressively, not letting these athletic guys get going, get them stopped before they get started. They didn't do a good job on the one bubble screen. They did it on the second one, and when you cover it, then the teams tend to go away from it. And so Utah's shown that they're going to cover that, so you probably won't see a lot more of that in this game.
4 wide look here on 1st down from their own 36-yard line for Keaton Slovis and the USC Trojans. Keontae Ingram remains in the ball game as the lone tailback standing next to Slovis in the shotgun from the 36-yard line. Slovis changing the play now, looking at the Drake London to his left. Utah with 6 at the line of scrimmage. Motion man, the tight end, Wolf. They're going to throw that flanker screen outside. Trigg has it. He's beyond the 40 and out to about the 43-yard line goes freshman Michael Trigg. He's a big dude, too. 6'4", 245 for Trigg, who picks up 7 on first down.
And what's interesting is that Utah's in a 3-man front.
Here they go again, throwing that ball outside, this time to London. He's to the 50, to the Utah 48, and out of bounds. That's a first down for USC. Utah's playing off, Scott, and they are just throwing that ball in that flanker screen to the outside.
Yeah, and the outside corner's doing a good job. It's the guys that are filling on it. They got to see that early. They did it earlier in the game. They're not. I mean, I thought you.
You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Les Schwab Tires. Now back to OC on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700. Zachariah sitting in for the whole show. He's here in Salt Lake City. He came in for our Utes VIP kickoff party yesterday, launching the season. A lot of fun. I made him stick around. He'll also be holding it down tomorrow and Friday as I'm off for some PFL fight announcing duties. Make sure you tune in on ESPN on Friday night. We're giving away Bees tickets in 2 minutes. We got to throw some flags, though, on some stuff we saw at the ballpark last night.
Can I throw a quick flag on you?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
You left me like a guy at the prom that has nobody to dance with behind the glass yesterday. After the party was over, I was just sitting there. I was like, I wonder if OC's going to call me in and do a segment or something, but no, you just kept plowing through your show, and I just sat there behind the glass just like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
You see the glare? I can't tell who's behind the glass. I don't know when you're in there.
You're full of bleep. I can see Lonzo easily.
That's a different angle that you got than what I'm looking at right
Okay, I'll go over there and check.
We'll bring it on the YouTube. By the way, if you're not already subscribing to the ESPN 700 YouTube channel, make sure that you tune in and you do so. You can now watch us, it means no more nose picking for me.
Allegedly.
You a big nose picker?
Look,
cannot confirm.
I'm not gonna pretend that I've never done it.
I just blow my nose. I never pick it.
You can't do that on the cameras though.
Nope.
No.
Right?
No.
I got to start.
You shouldn't, at least.
I got to start actually grooming myself. I got to get a haircut. By the way, I need a barber. So
I know a guy.
877-353-0700. I've been cutting my own hair for 20 plus years. It's time to stop doing that.
Phone lines are going to blow up.
Yeah, let's talk about that offline. I know a guy that'll get you sorted.
I got a guy.
Alonzo's got a guy for literally everything.
I got a guy.
I just don't comb my hair, honestly, because why? Like, why am I combing my hair to come in here to see you yahoos?
It's fair. It's a good question.
Well, there's some people in the building that it's worth combing your hair for.
Okay.
Doors closed.
Can I throw some flags on the stuff we saw at the baseball last night?
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, unnecessary roughness on OC, half the distance to the goal for Lyon to the little one. Sorry.
Why do you have to keep bringing it up?
I'm throwing flags.
I'm saying a 5-yarder. Every once in a while, children need to be white lied to. It was a little white lie. It wasn't a big deal, and it made her so that she wasn't disappointed. She was all disappointed when Daddy lied and said that the train wasn't running. She was like, "Oh, okay, no big deal," and went and played with her sisters.
I just like that. My favorite part was he saw the train rolling, and he's like, "Oh, I feel terrible."
I felt terrible.
Yeah, when that thing started rolling, I saw the look in your eyes. Oh man, it's all right.
It's better to just tell the truth and be like, you don't get to come because I said you don't get to come.
Yeah.
Because you don't get what you want all the time, all right? We're abusing the clock aggressively right now.
Go ahead.
Throwing the flag on the sliding mitt in baseball. That little oven mitt they put on when they're running the bases. You don't need specialized equipment to run the bases.
Don't forget about the Mario Kart mushroom base that they have now in Major League Baseball where it's like twice the size or whatever. Dude. Imagine Ricky having to pull up, breaking the record with the base. You know, he has that iconic shot.
It's too heavy for him.
Yeah,
he can't pick it up over his head.
Crush him.
His deltoids aren't strong enough to support that weight.
Yeah.
He just falls over.
Yeah.
The sliding mitt, first of all, it looks silly.
Adds 4 inches, right?
And you don't need it. Stop it.
Sometimes they break their hands, hurt their fingers.
It's an occupational hazard. Baseball players are soft as you know what.
Charmin.
Stop. Okay? Also, we saw an offensive explosion last night. Almost back-to-back triples. Can't be totally out of breath when you run the bases to a triple. Can't.
Why not?
You can't be gassed when you slide back in, you round it like you're maybe going to go inside the park home run, and then you got to dive back to the bag.
Yeah.
And then you stay down there on all fours and no, you ran 180 feet. Stop it. That you can't be gassed.
But it wasn't straight. Just remember, it's straight and then
Can't be gassed.
Okay, all right.
All right? You're a professional athlete.
I got a great story about that. My buddy saw Nick Swisher in Walnut Creek, and he was drinking and smoking. And then the next day, he had an inside the park home run, and he like almost died in the dugout
Because he was just
so gassed. And my buddy was like, "Dude, because he was smoking heaters and drinking, tons of liquor in Walnut Creek just last night."
All right, this one to me, 15-yard penalty. If you're stranded on the bases, right, third out comes, and you got to go out to left field, you got to go out to center, you're a shortstop, whatever. What professional players do is they just take off their helmet and they toss it to somebody else, and then they wait for someone to bring them their hat and their glove.
Oh, that's not a penalty at all. That's part
a
of
huge penalty.
That's part of baseball.
Did you not hear him last night?
Penalty.
Did you not hear how pissed he was last night?
No,
He was
because
pissed.
you were sitting in between us. I
15
missed
yards.
some stuff. No,
You're not too cool to walk into the dugout and grab your own glove.
That's common courtesy. You pick up your guy. If he's stranded on the bases, let's say he's the center fielder, the right fielder comes out and brings him his mitt and his hat.
Hate it. Go get your own stuff.
What a
all
weird
right?
thing to get mad at.
Go get your own stuff. And also, we saw it last night, Round Rock. It was bad base running that caused them. So especially in that case,
Yes.
you were
okay. I'll give you that.
You didn't tag up. The third out was your fault.
If you get doubled up,
get your behind back to the dugout and grab your own glove.
All right, I'll give you that. If you get doubled up, you have to go get your own stuff. But if you hit a double and then the next guy strikes out, somebody brings you your hat and glove. It's a baseball tradition. It's
silly,
like
and
none
it
other.
doesn't. And by the way, it's not a baseball tradition until you get to the pros.
To the show, you mean? The show or the pros?
The show.
The show.
Same thing.
No,
well, no. The show's, we're talking.
The show's MLB.
Yeah.
The pros are
but
MLB.
these guys were MILB.
Gotcha.
Right.
Minor league baseball. They didn't. You know who didn't do that when they were playing Little League? When they were playing automotive,
Sean O'Connell.
They were not like, "Hey, bring me my glove." You run back to the dugout. You grab some big league chew. Throw a wad of that grape flavoring, nasty bubblegum in your mouth.
Put on
your
delicious.
glove. Put on your glove, and you hustle back out to left. Hustle back out to right. There's no hustle in baseball anymore.
We're
All
disagreeing.
right,
there.
throwing the flag there, and then this one was egregious by my guy behind the glass right now.
Who you cannot see.
Alonzo
we gotta get a
Serenana.
camera on you too, bud.
Alonzo Serenana at the ballpark. Everyone's having a great time. Bees are up. All right, 9 runs on the board for the Bees. People feeling good. And public address throws a little "I want it that way" out there. Little Backstreet Boys. Everyone else in the whole park singing along.
Yep.
I look to my left.
Yep.
And I see Mr. Stoic. Blank face.
Yeah, that's a 15-yarder.
15-yard penalty. And then immediately after, he's like, they started too late. They started too the timing was off.
Well, the question is, does he know the words?
Yeah, he knows the
I
words.
do. I sing them internally.
All right, then you have no excuse.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a mistake.
Tell me why.
I never want to hear you say.
Lonzo?
So first of all, if you guys were...
Hold on. Finish it.
Hold on.
Ejection! He's out! You're out of here!
Jeez, you got a chance to redeem yourself.
Riff Raff and cheap Randy Travis over here need to calm down.
No, all right.
Tone it
Anyway.
down.
Yeah, that's a flag.
And then, so he starts making this excuse about that song. Immediately after, what did they switch to? Sweet Caroline. And guess who didn't even give us a ba ba ba? Again, you, sir,
I'll take the penalty for that one.
are out of order.
Because that song, in my opinion, I don't like that baseball tradition. I don't like that baseball tradition.
All right. Okay.
What are we going to do with that guy? By the way, he said that we were going to get like a dry erase board to keep track of all the flags.
I need to. It's on the Amazon list.
Okay, all right. Well, because don't forget today, because you got about three. He had a chance to just jump in.
I know.
All he had to say was, "I want it that way." Couldn't do it.
I don't sing. I don't rap like you. I don't MC like you. I don't.
Okay.
I'm behind the glass.
But everybody did it. Not everybody in the stadium was a rapper or a singer.
Most of us have
MC.
terrible voices.
Exactly.
And you know what? You suspend your insecurities in a moment like that
to have
because
fun.
Everybody's having fun.
I had fun. I had a great time.
No,
yeah, you got to join in
with that sour face while everyone else was having a grand old time with Sweet Caroline and the Backstreet Boys.
If everybody did what you did, Zoe, it would just be silent in there.
Can you imagine?
Total killjoy.
Can you imagine an entire stadium
just
full
looking
of
like Zoe? Yeah.
Just like looking at each other like, you're not going to sing, are you? I'm not going to sing.
Just arms crossed.
No way. I don't sing, bro.
Killjoy.
Sorry, bud.
Hey, at least I'm not a thief of joy with Little League Baseball, but we'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
We can get into it. We can get into my distaste for the Little League World Series on television if you want to. You know what, though?
It's going to give you a bad Q rating, bro.
We got to take a break. We have just demolished our clock here. Before we get there, giving away some Bees tickets on the program, as promised. Very, very easy for you to win these tickets. I'm trying to make it simple. Salt Lake Bees tickets, text BEES to 33986. We're going to give Bees tickets away every hour.
No contest, no nothing? Not going to make them work for it?
33986. Tell them that Sean O'Connell and ESPN 700 sent you. What kind of a rule follower are you when it comes to sports? I put a poll out on what upsets you most. We'll get into that next on the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah sitting in on ESPN 700.
Freshman Zamiah Vaughn matched up on Drake London right now. Let's see if they go his way. Turn and a give. Ingram. Oh, he's got the next. Make it Darwin Barlow. Second level. And all the way down to the Utah 26-yard line. That's going to be another USC first down. He needed 6. He picked up 7. And they've got another good drive going here just outside the red zone at the 26-yard line.
Yeah, and all this is it's just kind of nickel and dime you, and this is where Keaton Slovis is at his best, and Utah's just got to play this a little bit more stout on these throws.
Vaughn matched up again with Drake London. Here's that area of the field where they like to throw jump balls to him. They'll shade a safety his way on 1st and 10 from the Utah 26-yard line. Slovis going to look to the sideline now, change the play as he gets it in from Graham Harrell. Barlow moves to his right-hand side. Utah showing pressure, and here they come. Handoff Barlow into the hole, jump cut, just past the 25 and down to about the 22. They're pushing the pile. It's still going inside the 20 and all the way down to the 18-yard line. He was stopped at the 23, and they pushed him forward for 5 more yards. And that's going to be second down and short now for USC. They'll go with tempo now. No subs on the field. They'll snap the ball and hand it again to Barlow straight ahead to the 15, down to the 14-yard line, and that's good for a first down. And they're in the red zone now and in business as USC, and they're not subbing here. They're going with tempo. Utah having to shuffle guys in and out pretty quickly here. As Slovis doesn't huddle up, he just looks to the sideline. First down and 10 USC. Clock running, 5:37 to play here in the first quarter. Scoreless for now. SC threatening right now. Barlow in the backfield. Tight end and 3 wide receivers here for USC. Now they shift into the pistol formation. Slovis now changing the play, turns around and tells Barlow. Takes the snap, turns and gives. Barlow straight ahead to the 10 and falls down right there after a 4-yard gain. Boy, if he kept his footing there, he might still be running.
Well, Utah's gone to a 3-man front. So they're like a 3-3, 3 linemen, 3 linebackers, and they had Devin Lloyd as an end. So it's kind of that. It was kind of what BYU did against Utah early on in the season, and it's kind of designed to, stop the run, but also stop the pass. But it's more susceptible to the run.
Keep an eye on the jump ball to London here. First to make it second down for the 10-yard line of Utah. Slovis moves a man in motion across the formation. Takes the snap and drops the pass. Looking toward the corner of the end zone. Throws in the flat to Washington instead. And he's wrapped up and taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Nephi Sewell from his linebacker spot came up and made the stop on Taj Washington. That's going to bring up third down, and we'll call it about 8.
Yeah, great read here. This is it's just a design kind of screen here out to Washington, but well read and well reacted by Nephi Sewell. Good to see him back healthy again.
Trojans are 1 out of 2 on third down here in the first quarter. Clock running at 4:10 to play here in the first quarter today here at the Coliseum. From the Utah 11-yard line, Slovis lines up 3 receivers right and 1 receiver. That's Drake London to the left. They'll shade a safety over to help. Barlow in the backfield. Slovis wants the snap, takes it, backpedals, pumps once, looking, pressure in his face, throws, incomplete, broken up, nearly intercepted by Utah. They were looking for Gary Bryant, and the pressure right up the middle came from Vimahi. Akili Vimahi got right in the face of Keaton Slovis and forced the incompletion. That'll bring out the field goal team here for USC.
Yeah, very, very well done up front. I mean, that wasn't a pressure throw there, but a nice job. And of course, Reed also came in and knocked that ball out.
Here's a field goal attempt. Parker Lewis hasn't missed this year. He's 9 for 9. This will be a 28-yard field goal inside the left hash. Kick is up, and the kick is good. Parker Lewis can't lose. And that's a field goal. 3:48 to play here in the first quarter. USC leads it 3-0. 12 plays, 53 yards, 5:15 off the clock. The only incompletion for Slovis was on that last pass breakup on third down. He was 5 of 6, but just for 29 yards, Scott. That's a win. If you hold USC to field goals, that's a win.
No question about it. Especially with a player like Drake London down there, you can throw that jump ball to and get those touchdowns.
This is the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Les Schwab Tires. Your home
Kickoff
for
is
University
short
of
and
Utah
rolling and
football
hopping over the head of Britton Covey into the end zone and out the back of the
home of the Utes. ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
You're telling me, Alonzo Serenano, that you don't sing along to this song even?
So I actually don't know the words to that song. I know the chorus a little bit, but I don't know the words.
People only know the chorus to Africa by Toto.
Fact.
Nobody,
I was just going to say, you don't need to know the verse.
Most songs in the world, people know the chorus, and that is it.
Pretty much.
See, I mean, like I have my.
You've been working in the music industry
for
2 decades.
That's the problem, because I've been working in the music industry for 2 decades.
All right. Sean O'Connell Show, Zachariah sitting in. Alex Markham going to join us in 15 minutes. I had a question. I have a question. I put it out on the poll. I want to know what Zachariah thinks. I want to know what you think at 877-353-0700. What kind of rule follower are you when it comes to sports? Like, I know people who are not upset by any of the tomfoolery that happens around sports. What upsets you the most, though, when you're talking about athletes? When I ask you about a headline that does not reflect positively on your favorite team or your favorite player, you got to vote for one of these, Zachariah.
I already voted.
Betting on sports, does that upset you the most? Recreational drugs, when you find out someone's been, using the old devil's dust? Steroid or PED usage?
Devil's dust? Man, I've heard about 100 names for that. I have never heard devil's dust.
Never heard devil's dust until today. I've heard the gas, or all sorts of things. Never the devil's dust.
Okay.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Spygate or Deflategate, or pounding on trash cans if you're the Astros, like the actual in-game gamesmanship type stuff. What bothers you the most? What is the infraction that you have a hardest time forgiving from your favorite player, your favorite team?
Trash cans. I mean, obviously.
What was the fourth option?
Like the Deflategate type stuff, the actual stuff that's outside the rules of the game.
Got
PED
it.
use, recreational drugs,
Got it.
betting on sports.
Yeah.
All of these things are illegal. All of these things are more common than people want to give them credit for. And we have to, at some point, deal with my favorite guy just popped positive. My favorite guy, DUI. My favorite guy, betting on sports.
I would say the recreational stuff is probably the least out of that. PEDs, like the time in baseball when people were using PEDs, pretty much everybody did it. That doesn't bother me as much. And then, I would say the biggest one is what Zoe said, banging on the trash cans, because I'm all for it. Look, if a pitcher is tipping his pitches and you kind of know what he's going to throw and you pick up on that on your own, that's one thing. If you're banging on trash cans and letting the batter know what pitch is coming, that's a whole nother thing. And Deflategate, to me, that's going too far. The betting on sports bothers me if they're unless they're betting on themselves. Because that guy that got banned from the NBA, I believe he played for the Raptors.
Yes.
And he had his buddies put a bunch of money on prop bets, and then he pretended like he had an eye contusion or something and left the game. That bothers me a ton.
He shaved points effectively.
Yeah. But if you're betting on your team, it doesn't bother me.
If you're betting on your team to win.
To win, yeah.
So you're like Pete Rose, as long as you say Reds win, I'm good.
Yep.
Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Okay. PED use bothers me to no end.
But like it's okay. You were in a sport, right? UFC.
Especially in violent sports, it bothers me.
Well, yeah, and you went viral because you got caught on a hot mic saying something about somebody along those lines.
Let's remind everyone of that, Zachariah.
Yeah, good work over there.
Good job.
Penalty.
Hey, going viral's fine.
Throwing a flag, unnecessary roughness. Zachariah Slenderbrook.
Remember I said I was going to mute his mic sometimes when he gets out of pocket?
Now's the time.
There it is.
There it is.
There's the time. He gone. Alonzo, I really dislike PED usage.
Come on, I had something good.
Wait,
People excuse it right now. So this just happened like yesterday. Number one tennis player in the world tested positive for anabolic steroids 2 times. No suspension.
consecutively, right?
What?
Consecutively
What are we
tested.
doing?
Yeah.
The thing with PEDs that's hard for me is that there are so many things, right? So when you got tested while you were fighting,
Yeah.
there's so many things that can trigger a positive test that are not like full-blown steroids or PEDs.
Yeah.
They're supplements, all these different things. To me, there's so much gray area.
Bro, just stop. Sean's about to mute you again. Just stop.
Your job as a professional athlete is your body.
You could have a protein shake, and then it sets the thing off.
That ignorance of being like, well, I didn't know what was in this supplement is the silliest excuse that I've ever heard in my life. And so many people have gotten by on that, and somehow they convince fans to actually believe, like, well, of course this person whose entire livelihood centers around the nutrition they put in their body and the supplements they put in their body, of course they just blindly took some protein shake and it had steroids in it.
What?
Wrong.
So the pico-
no,
so the
that's
pico-
not how it got in your body.
So the picogram argument, you don't support that.
I
argument.
support none of that.
Okay.
All right?
You're making the things that can set off a positive test seem really black and white when I think it's really gray. I feel like you can have a pastrami sandwich, and then there's some steroid that they put in the meat, and then all of a sudden you set the test off.
The contaminated meat has actually been guilty in the past.
I was actually kidding. That's
No.
true.
No, it happened to Canelo Alvarez before a fight.
That's my point then. So
he
like
just said Canelo Alvarez in case you weren't able to.
Canelo Alvarez.
Canelo,
Or as I call him, cinnamon.
Alvarez.
I call him cinnamon because that's what Canelo
Yeah,
means.
cinnamon. That's what Canelo means.
I actually like that guy.
It's such a cute little nickname. If you called him Cinnamon in English, it would take away a lot of his like.
For sure. Well, it sounds like you're talking about a stripper.
A lot of people.
I call him Cinnamon.
A lot of people are just like, you know, who's one of the nastiest, most feared punchers and boxers on planet Earth?
That
Cinnamon
wonderful
O'Connell.
spice.
The little ginger named Cinnamon. You know what I mean?
That wonderful spice.
Like, but it just works in Spanish.
Yeah.
Were
it's
you
true.
in the USADA pool?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how they come to your house at 3 a.m. if they really want to.
You know what's the most awkward thing, and people know this probably, the most awkward thing about when you're being tested by one of these high-level enforcement organizations like USADA, United States Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency? You have to submit a urine sample, right? You don't they don't give you a cup, you walk into the bathroom, and you come back out with the full urine sample because there's too many people who've used like the Whizzinator and, you know, they pour their wife's urine into like a carafe and then use it later or whatever. They watch you.
Yeah, they watch the whole operation, right?
They watch you. You pull your shirt up to your armpits, you pull your pants down to your ankles, and they watch.
What if you have, isn't there a lot of people that have fear of peeing in front of people?
Absolutely.
So what happens then? What if
Stage fright?
What if you're gun shy? Yeah.
Takes hours. Takes hours.
They sit there.
When I transferred to Weber State, same exact thing. They only take like a certain number of people on the roster to test, and they grabbed like whatever it was, like a dozen of us. And my guy, one friend of mine playing linebacker, was just couldn't do it. Stage fright.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
It was an hours-long proposition for him to submit a sample because it's pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
This complete stranger is sitting there in a folding chair 3 feet away.
Just staring at you.
And you're just like,
Got to drop trowel.
So when you have, even just that should be enough to be like, I'm going to make sure that I never test hot for anything because that triggers more testing for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I get one infraction, then next time I got to do 6 of these a year, and I got to go through this awkward, horrible situation 6 times a year. Like, right now, I'm surprised that steroid and PED use is not 90% of the responses on the Twitter poll.
Well, just because you feel that way doesn't mean the people feel that way.
But the reason I also asked about the USADA thing is this person, because if I'm not mistaken, that tennis player has tested hot like a couple times, not just one time. And if they are under, because I believe the WADA also does the same thing where they watch you do the thing. So to me, I'm like, why? Like
twice in March, tested positive for an anabolic steroid. Twice in March. Will not be suspended after the International Tennis Integrity Agency on Tuesday determined that the banned substance entered his system unintentionally through a massage from his physiotherapist.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's not number one for me, OC. You just told me that you can get it from meat, and I was literally joking. You know how you exaggerate to make a point? I was kidding, and then you follow up and go, oh, yeah, that's actually happened.
It has happened.
Okay, so that my point is you can get it from anywhere. You take a swim in a pool, and it's got chlorine steroids in there. Next thing you know, you're testing positive. I'm saying it's a lot different than when Jose Canseco was sticking a needle in Mark McGuire's butt in the bathroom.
Well, let me ask you this then. When you know that it's not some like contaminated supplement.
Isn't this the example here though? Because you're crying outrage that
guess what?
No suspension.
This is sparking the conversation, but no one actually cares about Yannick Sinner. No one on this show is really outraged that the number one tennis player in the world did not receive a suspension. We don't follow professional tennis enough to care.
He's an Italiano, by the way.
However, I look at this, and to me, it's a symptom of a greater problem, and I just use it as an example because it's the most recent PED situation. There are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of these in every league, in every professional sport. In the Olympics, we saw this, where it's just like, yeah, we know that you guys are PED users. We know that you've tested positive in the past. We know that you tested positive before the Beijing Olympics. We still gave you medals. Like, the U.S. figure skating team finally got their receipts on that. But in any case, that's what upsets me most. And we've gotten to a point through desensitization in sports where people are just like, steroids, whatever. And that I will never be there, ever.
Well, and the only reason I'm there, I mean, Zachariah will probably understand this. In baseball, you still got to pitch. You still got to hit. Like the steroids, they may make you a little stronger, but you still got to go out and do the thing.
And also, let's not forget, Andy Pettitte, Roger Clemens, pitchers were doing it too.
Yeah,
it wasn't just the hitters.
I mean, and even then, the reason I don't feel terrible about Andy Pettitte, he was using HGH to recover quicker from an injury. He wasn't trying to get an edge. All he was just trying to do was come back from a hamstring injury.
I know we got to break. You
can make that same argument for every steroid, every performance-enhancing drug. Well, I was just trying to recover from the exhausting endeavor of the Tour de France by blood doping. I just wanted my body to recover more quickly.
It's cheating.
It's cheating. It's illegal. It's cheating. Well, you guys are signing off on PED cheating.
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm
not.
That you can get it from anywhere. There's levels to cheating.
Yes.
And anyway, I want to sneak this story in real quick. I know we got a break, but I will never forget. Essentially, I don't think Barry Bonds ever said it himself, but all of like some of his friends and like sources or whatever close to him said that essentially when he wasn't doing the roids. And then you remember when Mark McGuire picked up Barry Bonds like he was a toothpick? He like lofted him in the air, and he saw what Sosa and McGuire were doing, and that's when he started doing it, and that kicked him into overdrive because he was already damn good without the roids. But he saw McGuire and Sosa doing it, and he was like, well, if they're not playing on a level playing field, watch what happens when I do it. And now I think Aaron Judge is the home run king, but technically Bonds is.
If your friend jumps off of a bridge, would you do it too, Zachariah?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a, what is it, lemur?
Follower?
No. You're a lemur?
Lemur.
A lemming.
Lemming. Lemur?
Lemurs are the Madagascar primates.
Yes.
Lemmings are the small creatures that just follow each other off of cliffs.
Gotcha.
So you're Zachariah Lemming Slenderbrook.
Well, if it comes to like breaking the home run record, then yes. Not for everything. Not jumping off a bridge.
The disappointment
I'm
in
shocked
OC.
and appalled.
He's so disgusting.
He's so disgusting.
I'm just amazed, not just by you guys, but by how many people are just like, well, betting on sports bothers me more than steroids. What?
Listen, steroids, again, I'm not signing off on them because you still have – okay. But for me, again, like Zachariah said, if you're tipping your pitches, that's one thing, right? If you have a guy that's literally hitting a trash can because they know what's coming and you know what that means, that's crossing a line.
Yep.
That's 100% crossing a line.
You know that's awesome because it begs you to make up a better system than having your pitch signs fully visible to the base runner on second base.
That's why they have the pitch comm now and all that. But point is,
they also changed what they put down when there's a runner on second.
You know what's actually kind of a bummer? That college football now we're going to have the headsets.
The player to coach.
So you don't get the absurd like code breaker stuff on the sidelines, holding up the banners, pictures of
Jim Carrey and
just
bananas.
random celebrities,
cartoon bananas.
Oh, it's Jim Carrey, banana, tree frog. Okay,
on two.
Yeah, but it's not actually what the play is called. Jim Carrey, banana, tree frog means like a red right, pistol six.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But I don't disagree with you on the PED, especially coming from the sport you came from, where you said so yourself that you have fought guys that were on the devil's dust.
Yeah.
So
we don't call steroids the devil's dust.
Yeah, devil's dust is something else, bud.
Well, I know what it is. You know what I'm saying. And that's also
Booger
a thing
sugar.
in your sport too.
Booger sugar.
No,
Booger
it's a family show. I don't want people to have to explain to their children what
booger sugar is.
Booger sugar. Okay. Anyway, but in your sport, it makes all the sense in the world because, again, they're trying to get a competitive edge on you to manhandle you. Mm-hmm. Whereas in baseball, just to use it, or even in football, even to a certain degree, I understand.
Do you hear the way that you sound?
I do. At least I'm not.
Cheating is fine as long as it's less dangerous cheating.
But here's the thing. No matter what
are you doing?
People are going to cheat no matter what, right?
Oh, there it is. Therein lies the rub and the real problem with this entire poll. I never should have asked it.
Correct.
Because the overall pervasive mentality of American society now is like, well, people are just going to do bad bleep, and that's fine. People are going to do the wrong thing and just shrug your shoulders at it. Be like, people are going to lie to you. People are going to cheat. People are going to steal. People are going to fake things. It's just the way life is. And everyone, sports fans especially now, are just like, yeah, of course they're going to lie and they're going to be greedy pukes and everyone's going to like be corrupt. That's just what it is. The government's trash. Everyone's horrible. Let's just accept it and move on with our lives. No! Rage against this machine in sports. I'm not going to get into the politics side of things. All right, Alex Markham's going to join us in 3 minutes. We have in the Salt Lake Valley a 5-star wide receiver recruit. He's going to make a commitment, I believe, at some point this season. Is it going to be Utah? Is it going to be Ohio State? That's who you're up against.
Wow.
Ute fans. ESPN 700, happy to support the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and the Out of the Darkness Walk that's happening September 7th at Veterans Memorial Park in West Jordan at 10 a.m. For more event details, visit ESPN700sports.com. September 7th, Veterans Memorial Park, West Jordan, 10 a.m. Up next, can the University of Utah football team beat the Ohio State Buckeyes in a recruiting battle? Sean O'Connell Show, featuring Zachariah on ESPN 700.
Jordan Noyes kicks it off. It's a high end-over-end kick. Backpedaling and taking it. K.D. Nixon 2 yards deep into the end zone. Nixon trying to get to the outside. Breaks a tackle, and then he's tripped up at about the 17.5-yard line. University of Utah covering that well, and it was Hayden Fury, the backup linebacker, that made the tackle. So USC will begin things with about an 83-yard field in front of them. And Scott, the guy we'll keep an eye on tonight, wears number 15. His name is Drake London, and he's the best wide receiver in the Pac-12, maybe the best wide receiver in college football.
Yeah, and I think USC will come out and try to just get quick passes, let athletes go on athletes and just say our athletes are better. But yeah, Drake London is going to be a challenge for Utah tonight. It'll be interesting to see how Utah handles it.
Keaton Slovis brings out the offense, 1st and 10 from his own 17-yard line. Keontae Ingram in the backfield with him, a 3-wide look here on 1st down, a play action pass. Pocket collapses, Slovis throwing to the outside. It's caught at the 30-yard line by Drake London. His 49th catch of the year, 17, making a 13-yard gain on 1st down. The pass rush was there. It didn't quite get home, and he completes the first pass of the game.
Yeah, and they're kind of getting to Slovis quickly, but that's just too easy in a throw. It's one-on-one here, and then Drake London won that one-on-one.
1st and 10 at the 30-yard line. Turn and a give and a play-action roll. Firing to the outside. Flanker screen. That's Bryant. He's got it to the 40 and cut down at the 43-yard line. Gary Bryant. Freshman who's having a terrific freshman year. They're going to go with some tempo now with USC. That's a 13-yard gain and another 1st down. And USC off to a good start throwing the football.
Yeah, I mean, they go 20 yards here, 40 yards in a quick turnaround here. But those bubble screens, that's what was a problem for Utah last year in Salt Lake City, and they didn't handle it well on this first play.
Trips to the left-hand side, a tight end and a tailback of the ball game. Utah with a 4-man down front, 5 now at the line of scrimmage for Utah. Slovis operates out of the shotgun. Keaton Slovis brings Drake London to the inside in the left slot. They hand it to Ingram. Ingram bounces to the outside, tripped up and taken down as he picks up a yard. That was Devin Lloyd shooting the gap and grabbing Keontae Ingram around the ankle for a 1-yard gain. 2nd down and 9 coming up.
Yeah, and good to see from Devin playing downhill and making a tackle there in open field. It's hard to do, and these athletes at USC, they're going to test you all night long.
Keontae Ingram sounds familiar. He ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown against Utah in the Alamo Bowl a couple of years ago, playing for Texas. Slovis going to change the play at the line of scrimmage now. He sees what he likes in the Utah defense. Now they shift around. Slovis on 2nd down and 9, hands it again to Ingram straight up the middle. Keontae Ingram 2nd level to the Utah 49-yard line. It'll be a gain of about 6 yards, maybe 7. It'll be 3rd down and 2 coming up here for USC. Yeah, and this is the money down.
No question, money down, but an interesting play there. Utah had everyone lined up on their right side, and then USC changed the play, and then Utah went away from it, and they ran right into where all the other players would have been. They should have stayed where they were.
So 3rd down and 3 here, first 3rd down of the evening. Utah crowding the box. Slovis takes and gives on a fly sweep to Drake London, who's got 1st down yardage at the 45. He needed 3. He picked up 5. They do a little bit of everything with Drake London. That's a gain and a 1st down for USC to the Utah 45-yard line.
Yeah, it's like a jet sweep without the jet part. He just kind of at the snap just takes it. And really, all it is a normal sweep play to the outside, well blocked, well executed.
Kind of a Cessna sweep more than a jet sweep right there. So 1st down and 10 USC as they have the ball on the opening drive. 12:24 to play here in the first quarter. 1st and 10 from the Utah 45-yard line. 4-wide look now for Slovis. Brings a receiver in tight, hands it again, this time to Ingram. Stacked up at the line of scrimmage and driven back Keontae Ingram. They tried to spread Utah out that time, and Utah was ready, a 1-yard gain. Tackle right up in front by Devin Kaufusi.
Yeah, and Utah is really stout against the run. You still have to honor that run, even though USC is going to throw the ball a lot.
2nd down and 9. They empty the backfield now. Keaton Slovis stands by himself with a 5-wide look from the Utah 44. Now he changes the play with 15 on the play clock. Utah with 7 at the line of scrimmage. Now they dump out of it. Blitz off the edge, thrown to the outside. They've got London, and he'll be wrapped up and taken down for no gain at the 44-yard line. It was a great read on the outside. Who was that? Fabian Marks? Yeah, it was. Fabian had the initial. He nearly got to that football before London did.
Yeah, and this is something clearly Utah's worked on. They knew USC was going to try this. Great execution. You got to be aggressive on that play, and the corners and the linebackers did a great job.
3rd down and 9 from the Utah 44. Utah showing pressure. Here come the safeties. Hand off now. A batted ball at the line of scrimmage. It's knocked down. Is it a live football? Nope. They'll say incomplete. Wati Pututau got his hand up and knocked that ball down. Actually, it was Mika Tafua that got his hand on that ball and knocked it down, and that'll bring up 4th down. Utah showed pressure, got home, and knocked that ball down.
And they've shown pressure and brought it. They've shown pressure and jumped out of it.
Absolutely sing along with the rest
very
of the crowd.
Aggressive early on. Great sign here by this Utah defense early on to stop.
I started laughing when I started hearing that because I was going to do it. Buddy, I didn't know you felt that way about me. But no, I'll tell you, man. Every time I'm barbecuing, if I start controlling that damn speaker, it's going one song it's Coolio, and then the next one it's over to that, man.
Coolio, what a pull.
So there you go.
I love it.
There you go.
You're not old enough to be loving Coolio like that, I didn't think. But here we are.
Man, I'm older than you. I was in junior high.
Fantastic Voyage, baby. Coolio. And then he had the hit. What was the movie with Michelle Pfeiffer?
If you
Gangster's Paradise.
Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah.
If you're actually older than me, I'm aging like a banana. You're looking good.
And I'm older than you and Tyson, buddy. So there you go.
Here we are. All right. Wanted to pick your brain about this Utah roster. Wanted to pick your brain even more so about a big-time recruiting target, in-state, 5-star. Utah does not produce a lot of 5-star talent. There's a lot of underrated guys. There's a lot of guys who I think could be 5 stars. But Jerome Miles at Corner Candy University is dyed in the wool. He is bona fide, and he is coming off of a single-game performance. Zachariah, listen to this stat line. 4 catches, 120 yards on 4 catches and a score. Corner Canyon 70-42 in the opener over American Fork. And American Fork is a good team, by the way. Jerome Miles, he's narrowed it down. Is it really coming down to Utah versus Ohio State in this race?
That's the belief. That's the belief. And I mean, look, nobody's stupid when it comes down. When Ohio State's in the picture, I mean, those guys get the top of the top, and it doesn't deter guys that just appreciate and relish competition to be able to go there, right? The thing that Utah has in their favor gigantically is Isaac Wilson. I know that the Fano brothers have really been in his ears, as well as Landon King as well, and it's really resonating. And just a lot of the reports that have been coming out of fall camp, and I'm not sure if he's actually been able to go just on officials to be able to watch the scrimmages. It wouldn't surprise me, right? But everything that's been coming out of fall camp about how much Utah's been passing the ball, how they've been looking, and then what we talked about last week, just how last week was such a great week for the future as well as the present, but the future with Isaac. Just the reports coming out of that, it's enticing to Jerome, and he's hearing it and he's feeling it. And one of the big things that I've been hearing is, ever since the decommit, he had been back to a big-time Utah lean. What he had been wanting to see is just how much Utah was going to be throwing the ball this year. And, it really sounds like, at this point, the way things are trending, that it doesn't even – I don't even know that he needs to see that in the games. I think he sees what's going on and hears what's going on with Isaac and knows the future and knows that he can be a big part of it. So it's going to be really intriguing to watch when that commitment goes down. But I feel good about Utah right now. But with Ohio State in the picture, you just don't know until that ink is dry. And so when I say that, even if he announces Utah in October, he's still that type. He's so talented. There's going to be other big teams coming in the picture. You just got to hold tight and just hold your breath until that ink is dry and that letter of intent's turned in.
What a pull that would be for Utah. Sticking with the wide,
huge,
sticking with the wide receiver theme, Alex. Is this? I've interviewed tons of different former players and insiders, and in my time here on the ESPN 700 airwaves, and I'm kind of getting a consensus from everybody that this might be the most talented wide receiver group that they had. Obviously bringing in Pittman last year and then Singer and Alford this year to go along with Money Parks. Is this the best wide receiver room that you've seen from Utah?
Hands down, yeah. I mean, it is right up there with, I think when all said and done, it's going to show better than the 2018, but at the same time, too, it's also dependent on just how much they throw it, and everything I've been hearing is that it's not going to be your typical Utah offense. Andy Ludwig is mixing up plays like a mad scientist, keeping the defense on their toes, throwing the ball over the place. They really want to rely on Cam, and they know they've got the receivers to do it. And so just the fact of the additions of Singer and Alford, guys that are going to be pushing, for constant reps, what they're going to be bringing to the table. Everybody saw what Money was doing with Cam before Cam went down with his injury. He was breaking out. That's just going to pick up right where it's left off. It has in spring and fall camp. So there's a lot to like, and there's still plenty of receivers that I haven't mentioned that, quite honestly, over the last 10, 15 years, were probably good enough to start, and they're going to be second and third string. at Utah this year. So it's a good room. It's a good situation.
Alex Markham from Rivals, Utah Insider, our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Our Utah Insider is always brought to you by Metro Elevator. So if you live or work in a building with elevator issues, have your property or building manager call Metro Elevator, Utah's preferred vertical transportation experts, 801-946-7003. That's 801-946-7003. Open the show today, Alex, talking about something that is closely tied into recruiting. The headline was that Alabama has extended their general manager, which is a new title in college sports, but their football general manager, Courtney Morgan, getting a new contract, and it's worth $825,000 a year, which is, I mean, that's coach money. That's not player personnel money. That's coach money. And allegedly he turned down $1 million from USC, or $1 million plus, to take the same kind of position. I look at it and I say this is a continuation of the arms race. This is what Utah, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but eventually at some point you have to compete with things like this. And it's not just Utah, BYU, every other Big 12 team as well. What was your takeaway from seeing that big number attached to a position that is pretty fresh in college football?
It's insane to see, man. And I mean, first off, the fact that USC offered him $1 million, who knows how much longer Lincoln Riley's got. So I don't blame him for looking at that, seeing that. I mean, when you get up that high, it's not that big of a difference to a lot of people, right? And so going to a program where there's been stability, even though it's new staff. But yeah, I mean, that number is absolutely insane. I can tell you, Rob Blecken over at the U, who's been doing a fabulous job. He's their GM of football right now. He's got to be licking his chops and be like, hey, so Kyle, Harlan, let's talk here. But it's insane just seeing even the head coaching salaries nowadays. I mean, I think pretty much every single position coach on Utah, and this is again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'd venture a guess that at least 3/4 of the position coaches at the U are making more money now than Ron McBride ever made in his biggest year is on his contract when he was head coach at Utah.
Utah ranked somewhere in between 10 and 15, depending on what article you're reading. Do you have that as underranked, overranked, or properly ranked?
I mean, compared to how it went down last year and then just, some of the unknowns this year, I'd say that's fair. But at the same time, too, with a healthy Cam, with a healthy Brant, Mekhi being back in the fold and knowing how valuable he is to that offense, whether it's run, in the run game or pass game, all the additions. I mean, Utah's a top 10 team. They gotta prove it. I'm happy for them that they're put in the spot that they are, as opposed to where they started 2 years ago at what was it, like 7th when they went into the swamp against Florida. So it's an ideal situation, but I definitely think that this team is better than that and should outperform that.
So we are 8 days away from the beginning of this college football season, and knock on wood, we have yet to hear any reports from camp on any unfortunate situations. There's been a careful effort from Kyle Whittingham, his strength staff, everyone on the Hill to make sure that injuries are not the same kind of plague on this team's success as they were a season ago. My concern when we talk about being careful is, well, are you also being physical enough in an intelligent way? What are your thoughts on that? Can you protect everybody in camp and also get ready to go live in 8 days?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance. I mean, you look at what happened. I think we were talking about this a little bit a few interviews ago, just when Utah went into Florida. They weren't ready. So it's definitely a fine balance. You still want to keep your guys healthy. I think the fact that they're playing Southern Utah the very first game of the season is a big help. Those guys can go in, they can get that, just the physicality back a little bit, just that much more. And then, hell, if the starters are in it, if the majority of the starters are in it after halftime, that would be a crazy situation to see. But I'm not too worried about it right now, just because of that type of game being the very first game.
Southern Utah, an ideal scenario, doesn't put up, much of a fight against Utah. You want it to be, a good, clean game, get some reps in. In a perfect world, at what point is this Utah team pulling its starters against the Thunderbirds?
I mean, like I was saying, I think halftime. There's some that could probably even be sooner. It just depends. What was the score the last time they played? I think Utah put up 70 on them. So, it's look, Cam honestly probably just needs like a quarter and a half of play. Get him in, just get him in the groove, get him out of there. Get Isaac all this experience in the world, and then, just go from there. I think it'll be beneficial to get Bernard just a little bit of reps, and then just, quarter and a half, 2 quarters into it, just unleash Mike Mitchell, unleash Deshaun Stanley, give Jalen a little bit of, runs in the mix. But, it's honestly, man, it makes no sense to play the starters past halftime. And again, if they're in a situation where they have to play the starters past halftime, I'd be absolutely floored. And worried too.
Well, I'm not, those first games getting the rust off. I'm not going to get too worried about anything. I think we're going to be. Fair point. I think we're going to be all right in this Southern Utah scenario. We'll get into more serious conversations the following week, but we are only 8 days away from Utah beginning its season. Alex Markham will be on the coverage all year long, and we'll be checking in pretty much every week with him and the rest of the Rivals crew. Alex, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you guys.
Alex Markham at Rivals, Utes Insider.
Halftime, huh? Is that what you think?
No, I actually don't think they would pull him at halftime. I think that, look, for fans, that's the right answer. You don't want him to play past halftime, but Cam Rising hasn't played football in a year.
So what, fourth?
You let him play into the third quarter, get him a couple series in the third quarter probably. You probably pull Brant Keithy sooner than that, because Brant Keithy has had more complicated recovery from his knee situation, and that's really saying something, because Cam's recovery was quite complicated, but Keithy even more so. And obviously, you have other tight ends that you can deploy. Where your quarterback situation, I want to see Isaac Wilson in Game 1. I want to see a decent amount of him in Game 1. That's what these Southern Utah matchups are for. But you do have to take care of your business first.
So you're answering a question as ESPN, and we all in this business are waiting for the dog days of summer to pass as shows get a lot easier to do once you have actual football. But ESPN's been going crazy about whether or not Aaron Rodgers should play in the third preseason game because he's coming off of the Achilles. So you would be the guy on the side of put him out there, because a lot of people are saying, don't put him out there, don't risk injury, not worth it. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing out there. He doesn't have to get acclimated to the game. But you would probably play Aaron in the third game based on your logic, right? That you think that guys coming off of injury need to get back in the flow.
For me, that's a different situation. Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old, and 3 decades of his life have been spent playing football. Cam's an experienced guy. Cam knows exactly what he's doing, but that's a different scenario than someone who – Aaron Rodgers, if he was a sleepwalker, would probably be a sleep quarterback. He'd probably be ripping passes over the middle while he was in the circadian rhythm. That guy does not need any extra practice. That guy does not need any extra reps. You've got a more consistent roster around him than you typically see with college football, so we all love Cam Rising. I'm not putting him on the same level of established as Aaron Rodgers, though.
By the way, quick plug for you, because it's your interview. At noon tomorrow, we will be airing the first Rising Report at noon.
That's right.
So make sure you set your alarms, because that was a great interview. And I told him, I said, salute, sir, after, because I wasn't a part of the interview, but I was here, and I just told him, a lot of athletes don't say anything. And he's very careful. He doesn't say anything totally crazy, but he's one athlete that actually gives you answers. And as what we do in our profession, very appreciative of that.
You're going to love, all of you listening, you're going to love Cam Rising's first interview, first Rising Report. He'll be joining us every week throughout the season as the Utah football, 8 days away from the Utah football season kicking off.
There's a tease coming with that too, so keep your eyes out on the internet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But
You're going to
noon
put something
tomorrow.
on the internet?
I'm going to put something on the internet.
Wow.
More than what we have.
We're on the internet right now.
As we speak.
Live on YouTube.
Mhm.
Make
Well,
sure
you guys are.
subscribe.
Rate.
ESPN
Like.
700 Sports. We're going to be live doing YouTube lives. Spence Checketts at his show. Yeah, look at you got your camera's
That's
over
me?
there.
Okay.
Mine's right here.
Okay.
I am a little bummed. I just was eating like a protein bar.
Yeah, and you thought I saw you. You turned your mic off. You thought you were going to get away with it, and then I'm seeing you
forgot.
on YouTube just chomping down, throwing down a protein shake.
You know
I'm like,
what?
OC, you can't. It's not just audio anymore.
I know.
You gotta,
Every day is the Super Bowl now, OC.
Every day is a Super Bowl.
Yeah, pretty much.
I gotta start looking better. I gotta put like some of that Just for Men stuff in my beard.
No, I like the salt, but yeah, it's too much salt, not enough pepper. Why does the beard go first? By the way,
I wish I knew, but me and Lovey Smith basically have the same look going on.
you're not quite. It's not all
Full
snow.
on Santa Claus.
It's not all snow, but yes, it's pretty gray. But I mean, I don't have any gray hair on my head yet, but when I shave, I got a couple in my beard. Why does your facial, like, seriously, I want to talk to a doctor. Why does the facial hair turn gray before your head of
You
hair?
know what? We will get an age geneticist on, and we will talk about that.
Love it.
All right. Week 0 games are happening this weekend, but there is one Week 0 game that is in serious jeopardy because of a big-time first-world problem. I'll tell you what it is next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700.
Jordan Noyes kicks it off. It's a high end-over-end kick. Backpedaling and taking it. KD Nixon 2 yards deep into the end zone. Nixon trying to get to the outside. Breaks a tackle, and then he's tripped up at about the 17.5-yard line. University of Utah covering that well, and it was Hayden Fury, the backup linebacker, that made the tackle. So USC will begin things with about an 83-yard field in front of them. And Scott, the guy we'll keep an eye on tonight, wears number 15. His name is Drake London, and he's the best wide receiver in the Pac-12, maybe the best wide receiver in college football.
Yeah, and I think USC will come out and try to just get quick passes, let athletes go on athletes, and just say our athletes are better. But yeah, Drake London is going to be a challenge for Utah tonight. It'll be interesting to see how Utah handles it.
Keaton Slovis brings out the offense, 1st and 10 from his own 17-yard line. Keontae Ingram in the backfield with him, a 3-wide look here on 1st down, a play-action pass. Pocket collapses, Slovis throwing to the outside. It's caught at the 30-yard line by Drake London. His 49th catch of the year, 17, making a 13-yard gain on 1st down. The pass rush was there. It didn't quite get home, and he completes the first pass of the game.
Yeah, and they're kind of getting to Slovis quickly, but that's just too easy of a throw. It's one-on-one here, and then Drake London won that one-on-one.
1st and 10 at the 30-yard line. Turn and a give and a play-action roll. Firing to the outside. Flanker screen. That's Bryant. He's got it to the 40 and cut down at the 43-yard line. Gary Bryant, freshman who's having a terrific freshman year. They're going to go with some tempo now with USC. That's a 13-yard gain and another 1st down. And USC off to a good start throwing the football.
Yeah, I mean, they go 20 yards here, 40 yards in a quick turnaround here. But those bubble screens, that's what was a problem for Utah last year in Salt Lake City, and they didn't handle it well on this first play.
Trips to the left-hand side, a tight end and a tailback of the ball game. Utah with a 4-man down front, 5 now at the line of scrimmage for Utah. Slovis operates out of the shotgun. Keaton Slovis brings Drake London to the inside in the left slot. They hand it to Ingram. Ingram bounces to the outside, tripped up and taken down as he picks up a yard. That was Devin Lloyd shooting the gap and grabbing Keontae Ingram around the ankle for a 1-yard gain. 2nd down and 9 coming up.
Yeah, and good to see from Devin playing downhill and making a tackle there in open field. It's hard to do, and these athletes at USC, they're going to test you all night long.
Keontae Ingram sounds familiar. He ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown against Utah in the Alamo Bowl a couple of years ago, playing for Texas. Slovis going to change the play at the line of scrimmage now. He sees what he likes in the Utah defense. Now they shift around. Slovis on 2nd down and 9, hands it again to Ingram straight up the middle. Keontae Ingram 2nd level to the Utah 49-yard line. It'll be a gain of about 6 yards, maybe 7. It'll be 3rd down and 2 coming up here for USC.
Yeah,
and this is the money down.
No question, money down, but an interesting play there. Utah had everyone lined up on their right side, and then USC changed the play, and then Utah went away from it, and they ran right into where all the other players would have been.
This is the Sean O'Connell Show, your home of the best insight of your Utes. Let's get back to OC from the Murdoch Chevrolet studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah sitting in all day. Alonzo Serenana is producing today. I want you in your car or in your office or wherever you're listening to ponder this. What is the biggest self-inflicted inconvenience you have ever wrought upon your own life? These are first world problems, all right? We're all guilty of sleeping through that alarm, missing the interview, whatever it is. Delaware State is scheduled to play the University of Hawaii in a Week 0 game coming up in 3 days. Delaware State is a long way from the University of Hawaii. Dover is 3 hours away from New York City. If you want to fly direct to Honolulu from the East Coast, you got to get there. You got to get to New York City. Delaware State, 2 days ago, did not make it in time for their flight from JFK to HNL. They missed the flight, a 10.5-hour flight. They missed the flight, had to stay overnight in New York City. An entire football team, the equipment, the buses, all of it late to the airport, did not make the flight. Is there a bigger first world inconvenience than missing a flight, Zachariah? It just really throws things off.
Have you ever missed one?
I have.
Yeah.
By my own fault, too. By just not accounting for traffic on the way out
security
to Salt Lake
get
International.
There. Yeah.
Thinking that my TSA pre-check, yes, that's a flex on purpose, is going to get me through security fast.
It's like $40 a year. Is it really a flex?
It's like $20 a year. I think it's $100 for 5 years.
That's not a flex, bro.
It's a flex.
It's like being like, I got a Honda Civic.
Hey,
that's a flex.
If it wasn't a flex, everyone would have it.
That's true. I need to get it.
See, it's a flex because you don't have it.
Well, I didn't know it was $20 a year. We probably shouldn't be saying that because now everybody's going to go get it.
Yeah, what are you doing?
No, I just hurt myself. I'm going to miss another flight because now the pre-check line is going to be
You should have said
crazy
it was like
long.
a rack a year.
It's $3,000 a year.
It's $915,000 a year.
Now that's a flex.
TSA pre-check, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
But they didn't have it when they got to JFK, this HBCU football team that's flying all the way to Honolulu. Oh, sorry, guys, you're late. And that's just a massive inconvenience. Have you ever missed a flight?
I missed one in the most embarrassing fashion possible.
Uh-oh.
I was there super early.
Yeah.
Told the lady at the gate it was Vegas. So let's just say
I'm going to be asleep.
I was a smidge tired. I'm
going to fall asleep.
Told the kind lady there, I'm going to be sitting right here. I was literally 10 feet from where you enter. Told the lady, she's like, don't worry, I got you. Wake up. Nobody's there. Flight's gone. New person there. Didn't transfer the information to the lady. And I woke up, and then guess what?
A personal foul on that employee of the airline.
But also don't be a degenerate and be able to stay awake.
It's Vegas. They got to be used to dealing with this.
Here's the worst part. Last flight to Oakland. So guess what your boy had to do?
An extra day in Vegas.
Sleep where they shine your shoes.
Oh, no.
Had to sleep in the airport overnight, and then I caught one at like 6 a.m. the next day.
It's brutal.
Dude, there's nothing worse than sleeping in an airport.
Sleeping in an airport is the worst.
I woke up probably 30 times, a guy like buffering the floor or whatever.
Dude, I got stranded at the Denver airport on Christmas Eve one time.
Oh. And that's a loud airport.
Let me tell you something. You want to start pondering the decisions you've made in life when you're alone with no family,
on
no
Christmas
loved ones
Eve.
on Christmas Eve on the floor of the Denver airport, which was built by the Illuminati and has all these crazy
underground things
theories attached to it. Man. That devil horse out front. It was not a good moment in my life.
Yeah.
Alonzo, you've missed some flights.
I have. I missed one in Vegas. I didn't have to sleep in the shoe shine room, though, thankfully. That one was 100% my own fault because we went way too hard in the paint. So I can admit that. But I almost, I was this close to missing one for football my first year during football. I was the last, that person that is the last person?
That guy that gets the look when you walk down the aisle.
Gets on a little out of breath.
Yeah.
Frantically looking for overhead bin space. It's all full.
And they could have left like 20 minutes ago, but because of you.
I was that guy. And normally I'm the first guy on the plane.
Yeah.
Just because I hate to be that guy.
Yeah.
Well, karma got me real good this day. And it was also, as Sean would know as a frequent traveler, this is before it is what it is now. It was at a B gate. So I had to get on a bus to be driven to the plane because we were going to Eugene.
The hard stand.
And it was a hard stand. And as I'm walking onto the plane, I see people that are in the football program looking at me like, what are you doing?
Who is this jabroni?
Yeah. Why are you letting the vibe completely deteriorate?
Just the stare of death.
Yeah.
I've gotten that before.
Yeah.
I've been late to flights. That's the only one I missed was the one in Vegas.
Yeah, well, it's all right.
So what are they going to do?
The whole team.
Is the game canceled?
No, they got there.
Oh.
They had to stay overnight. They had to get on a different flight. Imagine how inconvenient it is when you miss that and like the seats and all that craziness, the expense that you have to incur.
Mm-hmm.
Hotels.
Now, multiply that by 150, and that's what Delaware State. And look, they're taking this game because
it's a payday.
They need it. It's a payday. This is an FCS team. And they're flying to Hawaii, which every day, send me there.
Yeah,
all right?
For real.
That's the job I want. I'm pondering the career change. We'll talk about it in the next segment. That's what the job I want.
You want to be the GM
of the
at Hawaii
football team.
Be pretty sweet.
I had an inkling that based on your attire today, that was a part of the thinking.
Yeah. Got a Hawaiian shirt on.
If you're wondering what I'm wearing, just go stream us live on YouTube. We're up on YouTube Live on the ESPN 700 Sports page. Make sure you subscribe, listen, and watch every day the Sean O'Connell Show. It's mostly just going to be me. Zachariah is here today because we brought him in for our VIP party, but most of the time it'll just be my pretty face. Want to remind everyone, FightCon is coming, and this is more than just fights. FightCon is about the community around the combat sports world. I've been part of this for years. I want all of you to be part of it, too. You get to meet your fellow fans, connect with the industry professionals, yours truly included, and be part of a movement that celebrates the spirit of combat sports. Exclusive merchandise, great deals on everything. FightConExpo.com for tickets. They are on sale now, October 5th. It's a bye week for Utah. You're going to be looking for something to do. FightCon. Make sure you're there. All right, I want to dive back into this conversation. The expense arms race continues in college football. And in 3 minutes, I'll tell you why, of course, it's Alabama again that is upping the ante for every program in the country. Sean O'Connell Show featuring Zachariah on a Wednesday. It's your home of the Utes, ESPN 700.
And Nephi Sewell out with the ankle injury. Correct Reed in for him. That last run by Keontae Ingram went for 28 yards. He's out of the game. Darwin Barlow in here. 1st and 10 from the Utah 47. 4 wide look here for SC and Slovis. He'll pass. Pressure coming off the edge. He tries to dump it off to Barlow, and it's deflected. Devin Lloyd got a piece of it. He was blitzing off that edge and got a piece of that ball before it could get to Barlow. Incomplete.
Yeah, and these are the plays you got to get. You got to make Slovis uncomfortable. It's a screen here. Great job by Devin anticipating just at the right time to knock the ball down.
Second down and 10 from the Utah 47, just underway here. 14:56 to play in the second quarter. Utah 7, USC 3. They'll move London into the right slot. 3 receivers to the right now. Barlow stays in the ball game. Slovis stays in the shotgun. They motion Drake London to the inside. That's going to be a run every time. Barlow bounces to the outside. He breaks a tackle, dodges another, and picks up 4 yards to the Utah 43. That'll bring up third down and 6.
And I know USC's running the ball a little bit here, but their mantra really is to throw it. That's what they know. That's
well, they never stick with it.
They don't.
They'll run it on you a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're going to go back to that pass.
And the answer against this defense is to run.
1 out of 3 on third down are the Trojans. They've got to get to the Utah 37. Slovis in the gun. Will Utah bring pressure this time? Yes, they will, and here they come. Slovis to the outside, too easy. Finds Washington inside the 35 and down to the 31. Utah was playing way off, and that was an easy pitch and catch of 12 yards and a first down.
Yeah, and USC just hasn't thrown the ball that long. You got to see that defensively, and with the motion, it kind of messed Utah up just a little bit defensively because Malone Mataele should have played that tighter than he did.
So first and 10 for the Utah 31-yard line. Slovis stays in the shotgun here on first and 10. Brings a man in motion across the formation. That's Gary Bryant. He'll drop the pass again. Plenty of time now. Steps up away from the pressure. Hit from behind and taken down. Sacked all the way back at the 37-yard line. Mika Tafua circled back around and wrapped up Slovis and took him down.
But if you see Slovis, he doesn't want to scramble. He wants to sit and live in that pocket. I mean, he just doesn't want to get out, and that's really good for Utah. Great job by Mika to just keep at it and keep with him.
Utah doing a really good job getting pressure with 4 and 5 men. They're not having to bring a lot of bodies, are they?
No, and that's helpful, and then they can cover down the field.
Here we go, second down, and we'll call it 16 all the way back at the 37-yard line. Slovis in the pistol formation, checking with his receivers on the outside. Turns and gives to Ingram, who's going to be wrapped up and stacked up back at the 40-yard line. Oh, man, they're going to give him the 39. He didn't even reach the 39-yard line. It'll be a loss of 2 yards. Xavier Carlton came in to wrap him up and take him down. Third down and long coming up.
Yeah, good to see from Xavier. Just real athletic, real aggressive here, actually getting there. And he's playing from the inside. So Xavier's not a tackle. This is that different look by Utah, and he just beats the guard to the inside.
Clark Phillips is going to see Drake London on third down and 18. Slovis wants the snap, takes it. Here it comes, 4-man rush. Nobody open right now, throws it to the outside. Oh, he's got him! London at the 20. He needed 18, and he picked up 20 yards. He was standing all by himself.
Yeah, and Clark Phillips kind of got nosy to the inside there because there's no way in the world that ball should be completed, and Utah just gave Keaton Slovis way too much. I don't know if he caught that, though, but way too much time to throw that ball.
I'm not sure he caught it in the NFL. I'm pretty sure he caught it in college, though.
It just like he was kind of juggling it as he went out of bounds.
Inside the red zone for a second time today go the Trojans from the Utah 19-yard line. Ingram the back of the backfield, Slovis to pass again, throws to the outside, complete to London. Phillips comes up quickly to make the tackle. It'll be about a 5, maybe 6-yard gain. Where will they mark it? They'll give him the 13, so that's a 6-yard gain on first down. And that's the pass they've gone to a bunch here today.
Yeah, and Clark Phillips is just way off. I mean, he's on it here, but they'll take this all day long if you give it to them.
You're tuned into the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Les Schwab Tires on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Sean O'Connell Show on a Wednesday. Zachariah sitting in. He'll also be holding it down Thursday and Friday while I'm off on fight duties. We are 8 days away from the beginning of Utah's college football season. And yes, that's what you're looking for. That's what you're worried about. But you always have to look at the big picture in college football. And once again, the University of Alabama has perpetrated an evil upon the landscape that must be reckoned with.
Evil. By the way, 2 things. I'm watching the stream just to make sure that I'm positioned properly.
Yeah.
2 things. 1, your terrible helicopter dance to that horrible song, This Is Why I'm Hot. And then the next time they show you, you're picking your nose. So Just figure I'd give you an update on
Just
that.
a scratch. That's a scratch.
Oh, we going Seinfeld now?
That's a scratch.
It was
not
a
scratch.
scratch.
There was a second spitter.
Guys, we're not doing this. We're not calling out every little like.
I'm not.
That was on me. I was just you did
Remember what I said? Remember what I said about I'm going to turn his mic off a bunch?
Now's a great time.
There it goes.
There it is.
He's off.
It's gone.
I'm intoxicated. The power I have with the board in front of me is intoxicating. The evil I'm talking about Alabama perpetrating on all of college football comes in the form of a big-time raise for their general manager position, a position that, admit it, all of you out there who are dyed-in-the-wool college football fans didn't even really know that general manager was a thing that was going on in Power 5 football, Power 4 football. Well, now you got to get familiar with this. Alabama just created a situation where you as a fan now have to learn the names of at least 16 college football general managers because that's who's going to be in your conference and that's who you're competing with. And probably you're going to have to learn the general managers at a lot more schools because who are you recruiting against? Well, right now, Utah's trying to get Jerome Miles out of Corner Canyon High School. They need to know what they're up against with Ohio State and their general manager. These are player personnel professionals that were recruiting assistants or recruiting coordinators before and are now called general managers. And in the case of Alabama, they're paying this guy $825,000. And actually, maybe I shouldn't blame the Crimson Tide for this because allegedly USC offered the same individual, Courtney Mason, over $1 million to join Lincoln Riley's staff.
I don't know the taxes in Alabama, but do you think that he technically didn't take less money staying with Alabama because
Yes.
California taxes are so ridiculous?
100%.
I don't think that would be the primary driver of his decision to not go.
But I'm just saying the money is probably closer than you saying 825 versus over $1 million. It's probably closer than that based on taxes.
I mean, if that's where you want to spend our time talking about the variation.
I'm just saying when you first said it, I'm like, why didn't he take more money to go to USC?
I think
now that I'm thinking about it, he probably is comfortable in Alabama, and the money's probably closer than you think because of taxes.
Look, you're right. That is one of those things when you're making your list of pros and cons. California state tax is always a con. Alonzo can attest to this.
Facts. Fact check true.
Only other one that's as bad as New York.
Yes, also true.
But that's like when Tyreek Hill got that bag, it's like Florida, no state tax. So, anyways.
Imagine, though, being a GM of, I don't know, Michigan, and no one knew that your job and you existed, and now everyone's Googling who these general managers are.
Yeah, no, it's putting it on the map. Because when I thought about college football, I never thought about a GM. I knew about recruiting. I knew about the NIL, but now it's full-blown, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, turning more and more into the NFL.
It's
free
professional
agency.
sports.
And you told me trades are going to come.
Well,
you really think trades are going to come?
We are months away from this settlement legislation going through, $2.8 billion and revenue sharing. And yes, I think that trades are probably eventually going to be part of that because in order for, especially in football, I don't know about all the other sports, but in order for this to really settle itself somewhere, you're just going to have to unionize, collectively bargain, become a minor league. You're going to have to. And maybe it's not Utah State doing that. Maybe not even BYU. But everyone who ends up on the right side of the line when those super conferences form are going to be professionals. They already are. You know how I can tell they already are? Because there's general managers being paid $800,000 a year to keep them in school, to keep them happy, to make sure, hey, don't go to the transfer portal, or maybe nudge you into the transfer portal because we need your scholarship and your roster spot for somebody else.
By the way, I broke Nate Orchard's heart because I brought it up thinking that he was going to be a part of it, and he's like, my last year is what the cutoff is for when they start playing players. I'm like, I swear I didn't know that. I was not trolling you. I was not trying to upset you. He was not happy with me.
You know what? I'm part of a settlement case right now. The UFC is battling a big case that a settlement was agreed on. $335 million was going to be paid out to all the fighters between 2010 and 2017 on the UFC roster. And they developed a formula for how you were going to get your payout and everything. And the judge did not sign off on it, and this thing is going to trial. So,
you going to testify?
No. But what ends up happening is that we're either going to get more money in the settlement
Mm-hmm.
or
less.
we're going to get exactly zero if the UFC somehow wins the trial case.
So the UFC did want it to go to trial. They wanted
not.
they did not.
Aggressively worked to not let it go to trial, offered $335 million settlement,
follow.
which for them, slap on the wrist.
Right.
And the judge said, not punitive enough, doesn't change their practices at all. We're going to trial.
Wow.
Now, in the next few months, there might be another settlement, an increased settlement offered. I imagine that goes through, but we all thought the 335 was going to go through.
What's that looking like for you?
Some money, nothing crazy, but
6 figures?
certainly nothing to sneeze at either.
6
Let's say
figures?
one of those class actions where you get $1.75.
It's not one of those.
6 figures?
I'm not going to tell you how much money I'm getting.
Oh, such a wuss.
How much money do you make per year?
Like $10.
Yeah, see? I'm getting not zero, less than $1 million.
All right.
Okay?
It's
I know
fair.
a couple guys. I talked to a couple guys who were involved in this settlement who are going to be getting $2-3 million bucks out of it.
Hey,
And that was at the original valuation, so it could be a nice little windfall for some people.
so when you say trades, this is just looking ahead.
Uh-huh.
So are we trading like, I don't know, 2 Scullies and like a recruit? Like, is
No,
that
you're not, because scholarship limits are going to remain.
right?
They're going to be adjudicated and legislated by some third party, some independent situation.
Right.
I don't think it'll be the NCAA. I think that's going to be
An independent body,
the power football conferences,
whatever it ends up being.
whatever it ends up being, the Big Ten and the SEC. So I think they're going to have to keep some uniformity there. But I do believe that when you're like, okay, here's what we did. We did a minimum salary for all these players, all right? And we decided that with our revenue sharing, that minimum salary is going to be $100,000 and it's going to escalate from there, whatever the numbers are. I'm trying to use some round figures here.
Right.
What stops in a situation like that? What stops Kyle Whittingham from saying, well, Kalani Sitake's got a guy I really want, and Kalani needs some depth on his offensive line, so I'll trade you.
I'm just thinking ahead just because I know how your mind works too, where I know you've already thought through this a little bit. So that's kind of what I want, because everyone's got their idea of what it's going to look like.
Yeah, and I think trades will be less of a mechanism than the current situation, free agency, because I don't think players have thought all the way through this scenario where they're demanding to be revenue sharing employees. Because when you become that, it's a lot easier to get rid of you if you don't live up to the hype.
Right. Instead
Right
of just
now-
they have to live with you.
Right now, you're in a situation at maybe not like Ohio State, but at a place like Utah, which is an incredible program, but not yet a blue blood. They offer a scholarship to somebody, and that person doesn't really work out. There's conversations happening like, hey, you know what? Maybe this wasn't the right fit. Let's find you a soft landing spot. So they're at Utah State, right? Or they're at Colorado State, or they're at Nevada, or whatever. And then maybe it doesn't work out there. There's another soft landing spot. And you can kind of like stumble down this ladder, but you're still getting paid and you're still getting scholarships. You're getting your education paid for. There doesn't have to be any of that when you're talking about an employee situation. Hey, kid, didn't work out, you're fired.
So you're just setting them loose.
Thanks for
releasing
your
them.
time.
Like in the NFL, you're just letting them go.
I mean, we will stop pretending that you care about the education for these individuals. We will stop pretending that you care about developing them into better young men. And we will say, you're an employee, just like I'm an employee.
It's a business, yep.
Me as a fan, if I don't perform at my job as a package handler for UPS or as a host on this radio station, they just say, thanks for your services. We're moving on. And people wipe the tears away after 5 seconds and say, all right, this is a business.
Well, to bring it back to your poll in terms of this GM conversation that we're having, my vote is winning. So it's at Real OC Sports on Twitter. I'm at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. And then, of course, the station handle at ESPN 700. You said, how important are GM, player personnel managers in modern college football? And the options were on par with head coach, on par with OC, DC, on par with position coach, or don't need him. And right now, on par with head coach is 35.6% of the vote. And my argument on that was simply, I think that a dinner has just as much importance placed on the ingredients as it does the chef. And I think that saying that it's on par with
Spoken
OC.
like someone who can't cook.
Exactly, because I know that I have no idea how to get the ingredients or how to make something with the ingredients. So that's why I have equal importance there, because I can do neither. I can't shop or cook. But I just think that's where the level of importance is. And I know your argument. You can go ahead and make your argument. But basically, that guy, the coach is going to have more of an effect on the outcome of your win-loss record than the GM is.
I mean, yeah, the coach is, for better or worse, depending on what school you root for, the coach is the be-all, end-all in college football.
Which swayed me a little bit, but I'm still going with just as important.
Like, the coach is the reason that the players are there. The players are the most important thing in executing these game plans. The game plan is in place because of the head coach and who he hired to be his coordinators.
Yeah.
Those coordinators helped him to put together some position coaches. Those position coaches are only working there because they want to work for the head coach. Look, the players matter so incredibly much. Like, you cannot overstate the importance of player differences made. Cam Rising is a perfect example of this. Utah has had some incredible players come through in the Pac-12 era, like really, really good guys. Tyler Huntley has had a success even at the NFL level, right? He's an elite college quarterback. We saw that when he was a first-team All-Pac-12 selection. Cam Rising is the one that gave you championships. And it wasn't because his supporting cast was better. You could make an easy case that Tyler Huntley had a couple years where his supporting cast, even though Cam's has been great, was actually better. So players matter. I'm not trying to diminish that. And because players matter so much, GMs matter a whole hell of a lot.
And you said that Kyle says that all the time. Coach Whittingham says it all the time, that players are the most important.
It's not X's and O's, it's Jimmy's and Joe's.
Yeah.
It is the players. The players are what make your program. And the players don't go to play for the GM. Yes, that GM helps, but they go to play for the head coach. Now, the poll says how important? On par with head coach, on par with offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, on par with position coach, and don't need them. I think only the head coach is more important.
Yeah.
Look, your DC and your OC are, it's Batman and Robin with your head coach. But now, who's another Batman side? Nightwing?
Darkwing?
You're the comic book nerd.
Yeah. I think Nightwing is
I know Darkwing Duck.
No, that's not where we're going.
That's where I was going. Darkwing Duck, and great show, by the way.
Great show.
I should have used the X-Men. I'm a lot more familiar with X-Men than Batman comics.
X-Men's a good parody.
Kyle Whittingham is Professor X. All right. Andy Ludwig is
Wolverine.
Andy Ludwig is more of a Cyclops, I think, and Morgan Scalley's definitely Wolverine.
All right.
Okay.
Great examples.
You got to. You need all of them.
Yeah.
Professor X needs his X-Men.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
But now your GM potentially is Storm, is Rogue, is like one of these elite blue team core X-Men members.
Gambit.
Which is not true 5 years ago, I don't think. Your recruiting coordinator and the guy that was helping you make sure these high school kids are happy in 2015 was an important piece of the puzzle, but if someone walked into Nick Saban's office and said, I'm going to help you with recruiting, nothing to do with actual game planning, nothing to do with teaching these kids how to play football, I need $800,000. He would have been like, Miss Terry's going to run you over with her car.
Well,
get out of my face.
A couple of points here. I find it to be very interesting because if, as we talked about, the Utes end up having the successful season that we think they're going to have, you could be in a position where our guy is getting offers from SEC teams to come be their GM. And as you said, Utah's not ponying up $800,000 for their GM. Now, I could make the argument that the GM is Professor X, the head coach is like the lead X-Men, and then the OCDC are the other two. I think where your argument kind of swayed me, as much as I hate to admit it, is that in this analogy, Whittingham is also doing part of the Professor. If I want to make Professor X the GM, Whittingham is also doing part of that role. So he has a huge influence on who comes in and who goes out in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
He has a huge influence on who comes in as recruit. So that's where you kind of sway me. I will still say that I think that the coach and the GM are on par, and that's what's leading the poll. So
the CBS Sports article talking about this in Alabama and Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Mason's relationship, they say in this article that they are equally yoked. They are two people carrying an equal amount of the load on building this roster. I think that's a compliment for your GM. It's a way to say, like, he's really important to this, but I also don't believe it's true at all. Kalen DeBoer is a phenomenal football coach. He's an incredible identifier of talent. Now, maybe this is the best salesman he could find to make sure that talent comes here, stays here, wants to be here at Alabama, but the CEO of that program is Kalen DeBoer by himself. And whatever it is, his CFO, his sales manager, whatever other analogy you want to use,
all under him.
That could be this guy, and that guy's incredibly important. And if we're going by corporate structure, those guys are highly compensated in all of American business and should be, but the head coach,
most important.
That's the dude. In college football, it will be that way until the end of time. In the NFL, not so much. Now it's about your quarterback. Your GM in the NFL is what, like the 20th highest paid guy in the organization? 30th highest paid guy in the organization?
As I said, I looked it up. It's between $3 and $5 million.
Between 3 and 5, I think, probably puts you on an NFL payroll
which is lower than your third string quarterback.
No, third string quarterbacks don't make $5 million.
No,
third string QBs make like $2 million probably, if you even carry a third QB.
What did Jimmy Grapes get from the Rams? Wonder what his salary is. I bet you it's close to $10 million.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's calling Jimmy Grapes?
Yeah.
Jimmy Grapes.
Great name.
There's another name, but he said it's a family program, so I edited myself. I censored myself for once.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah. But you know that story about...
You're learning the ways of Salt Lake City. You can't quite be the abrasive...
You do know that story, though, that went on TMZ.
You can talk about it another time.
Okay.
Yes.
Just not this time.
Thank you.
Not this time.
We're not going to discuss it.
Just making sure you
at
knew.
1:27 p.m. on a Wednesday. Thank
Fine.
you.
Fine.
Goodness.
Had to do a lot of refereeing today, OC.
Yeah. I'm finding that the first time Zachariah and we've ever done a show in person together, a lot of that is me just turning off his microphone and silencing his interruptions.
You know what would be funnier for the audience if you potted me down. Didn't just hit mute immediately, like I'm going on a point and all of a sudden it just trails off.
I just did it.
And it sounded phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay, I love it.
You know what, so you're getting a little you're supposed to be 50-50 here.
I'm trying.
No.
Trying.
Because he understands, like, he is the GM right now of Utah football who's not making $825. He's trying to get there.
Trying.
Dang,
you ain't cheating
right,
if
man.
you ain't trying, Zach.
Guess what his base salary is? Jimmy Grapes.
$1 million.
Yeah, 1.2.
Yeah.
Holy guacamole.
Look,
I would have thought it would have been higher than that.
It's the best gig you can get because you know how much work you have to do
for that
$1.2 million.
Well, you got to be ready to go in if Stafford gets a concussion or something.
If you're the third string QB.
Jimmy G is the second, I think.
Okay.
Second string, but yeah, fair enough.
All right. Listen, before we get to the break here, I want to remind everybody about the special deal that Advanced Window Products has going on for our listeners. They always hook you up if you tell them that OC sent you. $2,500 off 10 windows or more at advancedwindows.com.
Bernard, the tailback, 3 wide look here for Utah. First and 10 from their own 20, leading at 7-3.
I have
cover the motion man across the formation, left to right. Now they come back right to left. Play action pass for Rising. They try to set up the screen, and then he just throws it at the feet.
Number 80 was in the area of the pass.
We haven't seen a lot of screens this year. They tried to set one up, but SC was ready for it.
This is a years-old problem.
And what happens is Keithy's blocking, and the guy doesn't go past
the windows.
He stays on
right here in town.
And so the
mayor
play
of
was
Sac
kind of
Lake
dead
City
there, but
oversees it all.
it looked like it was going to be a screen to Covey, but it didn't work.
Second down and 10. Rising goes under center.
I'm going to avoid
motion
any
across
of those
the formation for the tight end. A turn and a give. Makai Bernard trying to bust to the outside. Gets through to the second level. Bernard still on his feet. Beyond the 25 and out to the 27-yard line. Good run that time by Makai Bernard, but a flag down behind the play, and this is going to be holding on Utah.
If you call
maybe. Wait. This might be on USC.
Holding.
at advanced.
Number 49 of the defense. This 10-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play, resulting in a first down.
You don't see it often from a lineman on defense, but Tuli Tuipulotu grabs somebody, an offensive lineman on the inside that time. That'll be an automatic first down.
Yeah, and typically you see that on pass plays.
Devon Vele splits wide to the right-hand side on 1st and 10. 3 tight ends here for Utah. Vele the lone receiver. He has man coverage to the outside. Would Rising take a shot? Now they're going to shift around and move everybody to the outside now. He was back in the gun. Pledger next to him. 1st down and 10. Cam to pass. Stepping, looking, throwing long. He's got a man in the end zone. Open and just missed him, but we're going to have pass interference. Brant Keithy got tackled in the end zone, and that's going to be pass interference on USC.
Pass interference with 21 of the defense. It's a 15-yard penalty with an automatic first down.
Maybe we started a trend here, Bill, and that, hey, let's just throw it down the field now. Why not?
Scott, was he going for Keithy or was he going for
Keithy.
Vele?
No, it was Keithy. Oh, yeah, clearly it's
Vele almost came up with the play anyway. 1st and 10, Utah. Second trip today into the University Credit Union red zone, and they'll have it 1st and 10 at the USC 15-yard line. Covey wide right, Vele to the left, 2 tight ends and Pledger. Cam goes under center. Rising, turns, and gives it to T.J. Pledger. Into the hole goes Pledger. On his feet, pushing the pile. He'll get to about the 12-yard line and pick up 3 yards. Raymond Scott, the Rover linebacker, who's had a big first half here, in place of Raylan Goforth, who will play in the second half. Made the tackle. 2nd down, and we'll call it 7 from the 12.
Yeah, I really like that, and just little play action and throw the ball to a tight end right over the middle. USC is so aggressive coming in to stop that run of Utah.
Tight end to the right, Fotheringham. Tight end to the left, Kincaid. Now they move Kincaid to the right-hand side. 2nd down and 7. Covey in motion. They'll turn and give it in a roll. Into the end zone, fired, caught, touchdown! Touchdown! Money Parks, 4-6. His first career catch is a touchdown for Utah.
Hey, if you're going to start, you might as well start big, right? But a great throw, great play action here. I love this call. Just that Utah's really sold out on the run here. But he's got outside. He makes a nice move to the inside. I mean, it's a great catch there, getting his feet down. Perfect execution. Oh boy, that gets me so excited.
Montaran Money Parks for 6. A Pepsi touchdown, and the PAT is up, and the PAT is good, but we've got a flag down, and we may have motion up front on Utah.
I think it's defensive offsides.
It is defensive offsides. You're right.
Offside for 23, the defense. Penalties decline. Try is successful.
Scott, they needed to answer, and did they ever? 5 plays, 75 yards, 2:05 off the game clock. Rising was 2 for 2 for 50 yards, and Montaran Money Parks with his first career catch, and it's a touchdown.
But you look at what happened to Cam Rising there. He completes that big 3rd down, throwing the ball down the field, and all of a sudden he starts to get confidence. And then you take a shot with Keithy down the field, and he made another good throw. It was just pass interference. But that out route on the goal line, one of the harder throws you have to make as a quarterback, and just to put it right on the money. And a great route by Parks. I mean, it was just, that's just good to see. And that now puts lots of doubt in USC's mind defensively, because now they know Utah can throw the ball along with running it.
Boy, oh boy, and they're throwing it to wide receivers here today, too. How about that? Theo Howard and Money Parks getting some catches. A lot of time here. If Utah's defense could get a stop, Utah's got all 3 timeouts left. Noise is ready. And the proud papa of 3 puts his right foot into it and drives it, and that's going to be taken by Nixon. As he backs into the end zone, takes a knee, and that'll be a touchback after the 25-yard line. So the Utah defense got a little bit of a rest there. Not a long rest, but you know what, Scott? 2.5 minutes is a good rest, especially when you know your offense just scored some points.
Yeah, it's rest and you get rejuvenated. It's almost like taking an energy drink on the sideline when your offense does what it did right there and actually scores points. It just changes the whole energy of the team.
You're tuned into the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Les Schwab Tires on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Jason Aldean tickets to give away in 15 minutes and FightCon tickets to give away in 15 minutes. Jason Aldean is coming September 7th to the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, and FightCon is going to be October 5th. Tickets given away in 15 minutes right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah sitting in on a Wednesday. He'll be here with you tomorrow and Friday as well, as I'm off on ESPN for some fight calling duties. I'm not a big Stephen A. Smith guy. I'm as out on Stephen A. Smith as you can be, probably. But I admire what he has carved out in this business. He's making crazy money to oftentimes just yell at people. He was at Fanatics Fest. Did you see this thing?
I did. By the way, is there anybody the Fanatics didn't get?
Well, I didn't get invited, and I'm a little bit upset about it.
But Sean O'Connell did not, and I managed his email. He did not get an invite.
I was a little bit perturbed.
Did you see the list, though? It's like Derek Jeter, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning.
Was Obama there? Like, they feel like they had everybody.
No, that's like all like the top class athletes. It was I saw the list and like what they're doing. From what I hear, it's because they're contractually obliged to make X amount of appearances a year from Nike, Adidas, any whatever their shoe company or sponsor is. And Fanatics signed deals with them, so those companies made them go as part of their contract.
We need to exploit those little loopholes in those contracts.
Yes,
like
we
if
do.
Peyton Manning is supposed to do a certain number of appearances, we are technically an ESPN affiliate.
Yeah.
So we got to be like, hey, we need Peyton here in Salt Lake City.
What the fluff, Peyton?
Let's go.
Yeah. No, and I mean, that's what Fanatics did. They leveraged the licensing of apparel.
Yep.
The NFL,
Exactly.
NBA, MLB. Good on them for the monopolization.
Smart.
Did
man.
they ever fix those MLB uniforms?
Bro,
by
they're
the way?
so bad still. Even like with what they fixed, they're atrocious.
How do you do that? For
Great question.
Weren't they like see-through?
yeah,
Yeah.
they were see-through.
Bro, like there was people
It was like X-rated. You could
Yeah.
see
Like, what are you gonna? Like, what are you gonna
People's
do what are you gonna do in like a game with a little mist coming down, a little
Yeah.
sprinkle?
and then some of those Midwest cities, it's a little humid.
Well, yeah, sweat. All you
Sweaty.
need is sweat.
Yeah.
Sweaty.
I mean, think of like seeing as pale of a person as Zachariah Slenderbrook in just some
Whoa.
white pants.
Whoa. I am a nice Italian golden brown, my friend.
No,
I'm
You
as
do
the
know-
same shade as you, pal.
You do know you're on YouTube, right?
Yeah. Oh, I do. I look pretty white on YouTube,
You're
but that's
washed
because
out.
of the lighting.
I'm an Irishman. I don't
Expected.
presume to have any sort of melanation in this skin. All right. Anyway, at Fanatics Fest, Stephen A. and Tom Brady were on stage having a discussion, and Stephen A. said, "Well, you're an analyst now, so I can ask you this. I didn't have to do it when you were a QB. The top quarterbacks in the NFL. Here you go."
Top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League right now, according to Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes being number 1. Give me 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I see Josh Allen as someone who's always impresses me as a player. I see Lamar Jackson, who always impresses me as a player. Some different guys probably have different moments.
Right.
Joe Burrow is very impressive the way
Very
he throws
impressive.
the ball and leads the team. Again, another guy who's got a great connection with his teammates.
Right.
I'll leave it at those 4.
I'm going to throw Aaron Rodgers in there.
Of course.
It's just me. It's
Yeah.
just me.
No.
One of the great pure passes the game has
Absolutely.
ever seen. I'm going to throw him in there, and the man knows the game inside out.
I'm very interested to see how Aaron comes back and performs this year, and
Yep.
you know how dedicated and committed he is to being a great quarterback again. He had a year off. I believe that it would be very motivating for him to do that. But again, that's why they go play. And again, I think for all of us, we can analyze before the point. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to them to go out there and prove to us, right or wrong, whether our decisions or judgments or hypotheses about them are right.
This is why Stephen A. makes more money than all of us, because he is bold and brash enough to have the greatest quarterback ever give him a list and say, actually, your list is better with my opinion on it. And he said he threw in Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, I understand why Aaron Rodgers he gets you clicks right now. People have strong opinions about Aaron, both for football reasons and for other reasons. And so Stephen A. interjects Aaron Rodgers into that conversation. For me, look, I'm comfortable saying it now. Aaron Rodgers, his day is done, in my opinion. Aaron Rodgers is not the guy that he was, and that's fine. All of us lose the fastball at some point. age 40 plus. For most people is how it goes. For Tom Brady, it lasted a little bit longer than that. For all the other super elite quarterbacks that we saw in the NFL, how many of them played better at 40 than they did at 37? Or even as well at 40.
I mean, just
37. There's the one. It's Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, just Brady. I mean, Manning fell off. As the cliche goes, Father Time is undefeated. I will say this. 2 of the last 4 years, the NFL MVP was Aaron Rodgers. And he's not like 45. He's still 40. He didn't even play last year, so he might be rested. So I think you could throw him in there, but it's funny that Brady did that because you and I have talked about Pro Football Focus, and I think you and I have a similar opinion on it where we like it for what it is, but we don't take it as gospel. But they ranked the quarterbacks going into the year. It's funny because it's exactly how it was laid out with Stephen A. and Tom Brady. They have Tier 1, which is just Mahomes. Then they have Tier 2, which is Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. And then you have Tier 3, so on and so forth.
Okay.
So it's interesting that Brady literally did that.
Well, yes, and also somewhat predictable because Tom Brady probably went up to that conversation armed with every piece of knowledge that Tom Brady is a tiger that cannot learn new stripes. Tom Brady doesn't get to prepare himself physically to play football anymore. Now he's going to be one of these lunatic analysts that
he's clearly going to be polarizing too. Based on what he's been doing out there, he's trying to get headlines. He's not going to be your run-of-the-mill, just, non-controversial analyst.
The beauty of being Tom Brady is that he's not like these NBA guys, right? If LeBron James, who's one of the all-time greats, very obviously, he's in the same conversation for basketball as Tom Brady is for quarterback play in the NFL. If LeBron James jumps into the booth tomorrow, LeBron James has like 97 best friends that are still in the league that are going to be texting him and calling him and having these issues with whatever he says. That's not Tom Brady. Tom Brady's career was spent in a kind of a standoffish world. His teammates either got to know him and loved him or got to know him and realized, like, hey, I'm on a different level than this guy. It's never been a popularity contest for Tom Brady. And on top of that, Tom Brady has the credentials to say whatever he wants about anybody he wants in the NFL. He can be as critical as he wants to be, and he's not concerned that they won't like him anymore because most of them already don't like him. And he's not concerned that he will be called out to the carpet and just like, oh, yeah, well, what did you do? Because he gets to be like, 7 Super Bowls. I'm the best that ever did it. What do you want to say to me?
Well, and he also, I do like how he went full analyst, Tom Brady, and ran with it and still was like, yeah, Stephen A., I hear you, but here's the list.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from another great quarterback and hear his list because it's very similar, except he did do a 5th. Brady only did 4. Peyton Manning did 5. I didn't give the proper amount of setup time for that. That's
no, we had one. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. A small minor technical difficulty.
That's a flag on me. It's a 5-yard. I should have gave him more time. I thought we had them both up. But anyways, Peyton gave a top 5 too, and we'll find out what it is. But I found it funny that literally the same exact way that Pro Football Focus did it is what Tom Brady did. Are you pretty much in consensus with those top 4? Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and then obviously Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately, for all of us, is standing alone.
Yep.
Atop that pedestal.
Would you make an argument for Dak or Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers or Jalen Hurts? Did Jalen Hurts win MVP that year that they went to the Super Bowl? I think he did. Jalen Hurts, C.J. Stroud had an unbelievable rookie year, and now he's got tons of weapons. Jordan Love.
Jared Goff has been playing great football.
Where do you think Brock Purdy is?
Well, Brock Purdy is the guy that immediately came to my mind of like, not I'm going to put him next to Joe Burrow and I'm not going to put him next to Patrick Mahomes, but where do I want to put him?
They have him around Tua, Trevor Lawrence.
I think that's appropriate.
And Jordan Love.
I think so too.
I think that's like, what's that, the 3rd tier?
Me too, yeah.
I just asked that because my guy's about to get a bag as big as this building.
Tier 4.
And I've
I know you're disgusted.
I've been aggressive about the fact that I know that you have to do it, but I also know that you can't do it.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy making $60 million a year means that your contract woes have just begun in San Francisco.
Dolphins fans had a similar dilemma with Tua, and you could make the argument that you could just sub somebody in for Purdy or for Tua because of the system. Mike McDaniel, remember, a guy that came from Shanahan's tree.
Yeah.
So you could make the argument that you could put just anybody in there, but Shanahan had Jimmy, and it didn't work. And then obviously your disastrous Trey Lance, as my friends like to call him that are Niners fans, instead of Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
So it can't just be anybody. You do have to be a certain level of good.
That's right.
But I agree that neither Tua nor Purdy are going to be worth the $45-50 million that they're going to get.
Yeah, the certain level. There's a difference between a certain level of good and I'm going to pay you as the highest paid quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah.
Those are two different conversations.
But the Dolphins didn't have a choice. The Jaguars didn't have a choice. The Niners aren't going to have a choice.
Jaguars, I feel like, had a choice. That guy's like sub 500 as a QB.
Well, he had some coaching disasters there.
How dare you?
Your former head coach.
Careful.
Disaster.
Careful.
Guy didn't get on the team plane and was at the bar dancing with a 19-year-old.
Urban is probably driving past right now. Watch out. He'll stop. He'll get out.
Does he live in Utah?
No. You joking me? Probably been back here 3 times. All right, here's Peyton Manning's list of the top quarterbacks in the NFL.
That's number 1. Patrick Mahomes number 1. God, rankings are so hard. You get in so much trouble. You get mad about that. I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow. Right? I'm glad to see him. Glad to see him back healthy. Right? I like the way he carries himself. I like his demeanor. This Justin Herbert is as talented as anybody. He can throw it about. He can throw it about. Harbaugh, like I said, the Broncos division is going to be tough. Lamar Jackson does things that just don't seem possible with the football. I understand he makes throws, he runs. I love the way Lamar carries himself. I think he'll have a great year this year. One more. Josh Allen is total stud.
So the only change there was adding Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, again, going back to PFF, the 5th quarterback they have is Justin Herbert. I'm torn on him. There was a lot of talk, especially, again, if you're a Dolphins fan, that, because Tua went one spot before Herbert, and Herbert had such a great first couple of years, and Tua did not. But now Tua had an MVP type of year last year, and Herbert kind of felt. Where are you on Herbert? Because he's got the arm. I think coaching we talked about how important coaching is when we were talking about college football. Coaching has really betrayed him.
I feel like going all the way back to when he was at Oregon, his potential was not maximized there. And now the hope is that Jim Harbaugh will be the answer. Justin Herbert has the talent to be in the conversation with all these other great young quarterbacks. Tua is the beneficiary of coaching, as we heard from his comments, McDaniel's comments, even Brian Flores responding to those comments. In fact, we'll get to those in the next segment, Alonzo. I want to get to that next.
He also has Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle.
That was going to be my next my next point.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty
Keenan
easy
Allen,
to look good when you have Tyreek Hill.
Having like a solid guy or two to go to is great and makes you determine your own destiny as a quarterback.
Well, now he's got no wideouts.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? So, like Tom Brady, we always will consider him so elite because he made like former lacrosse players into monsters.
With the exception of 1 year when he had Randy Moss and the numbers were ridiculous.
But didn't win a Super Bowl.
Got to it.
Didn't win a Super Bowl.
Okay. You're one of those guys?
Well, he didn't win. It's more of a factoid. It's not like an indictment on either of them, but it's just like, wow, when you finally gave that guy the weapon that he asked for, he didn't win a Super Bowl. It's kind of like when Aaron Rodgers got Devontae Adams in Green Bay after so many years of being like, oh, I don't have anything. They're not drafting anything for me. They're not building anything for me. And it's just like, okay, now you have one of the best wide receivers in the whole land, and you are one of the best duos in the whole land. So go ahead, take us to the promised land, win us the Super Bowl. And it didn't happen, right? So there's like the recipe is complicated.
Of course.
And it requires more than one receiving option. And Tua goes to a place where the coach understands what he needs, likes him, wants to use him, and it's just like, also, I'm going to give you 2 of the 5 fastest human beings in the NFL right now.
I think they have 4 of like the top 10, and if you include the running backs.
You're just going to go ahead and You're going to throw the ball to that spot, and he's going to go get it, right?
And he's going to run for 60 yards.
Do I think if you put Justin Herbert in Miami, it would be a very similar situation? Absolutely.
Yeah.
What happens if you put somebody like Lamar Jackson in Miami? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Now you have the most athletic guys at the three most important offensive point-scoring positions. You got the most athletic quarterback in the NFL. You got the fastest receiver in the NFL. You got one of the two fastest running backs in the NFL.
By the way, 5-yard flag on you, and I'm only telling you this because I got corrected. I used to use it also. Factoid actually means a brief or trivial item of news or information. It's an assumption on speculation that is reported and repeated so often that it becomes accepted as fact. So it's not actually a fact when you say
Wait,
factoid.
go back to the first one.
A brief or trivial item of news or information.
There you go. Brief or trivial item of news or information.
But it's an assumption or speculation that is reported and repeated enough.
Are those two separate definitions, or is that all one?
I don't know. I'm just looking on the internet, bro.
Yeah, I know. And usually if you look up dictionary.com, it's like, here's the first definition, here's the second definition. And I'm asking if that was all one definition or if that was two separate.
It's two separate lines.
Yeah, so the first one is that it's just a little piece of information. It's anecdotal.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
In the tiers of quarterbacks, because another guy that's about to get paid is Dak Prescott. Where would you put him in those tiers?
The Cowboys, I hope, throw the biggest bag on planet Earth at Dak Prescott because I don't want the Cowboys to ever win anything, and Dak Prescott is never going to be that dude. He isn't. We've seen him. He's been in the league for 10 years.
Yeah.
We know what he's not, and he is not the guy that is the difference maker who's going to push you over the edge to a Super Bowl.
His numbers were eye-popping last year.
Go ahead and give him all the money.
He's top 10, Zo, to answer your question. He's around Herbert, Prescott, Stafford, Rodgers, Hurts, and Stroud.
Well, I know statistically he's top 10, but is he in that top 10?
No, I'm going off the PFF rankings, but that's generally where he's looked at. But to your point, OC, I would rather have Herbert.
Yes.
I would rather have Stafford, who's won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers, who won 2 MVPs and won a Super Bowl. I'd probably rather have Hurts, even though last year, I don't know what the hell happened last year, but they fired their OC and their DC. And I'd rather have C.J. Stroud than Dak. But
the Jalen Hurts thing is going to go down again. He's going to be talked about as a guy at both the college and the pro levels who, just like Justin Herbert, who coaching has been his enemy, right? Sirianni and him don't get along.
Yeah.
There's been 12,000 articles written about it. The Philadelphia news media pulls no punches. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? So you put Dak into this conversation, and my mind immediately goes to where Zachariah's mind. Who would I rather have than Dak?
Yeah,
There's a dozen dudes.
I'm right there.
Everybody that I listed, I would take. And then as you go further down, I'd take Jordan Love over him. Maybe not Trevor Lawrence.
What about Brock Purdy?
Maybe not Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy or Dak?
Try Lance. Lance.
If you had Dak with Shanahan, I don't know. And then Tua or Dak? That's when you start to – but we're talking, to your point, you just said a dozen. We're talking 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, see?
But he's ranked as 6.
But also, I mean, the coaching –
he's a Cowboy, too.
I mean, as Mike McCarthy isn't going to get you over the hump either, right?
He's a sitting duck.
It's a lame duck situation, but can we also attribute some of that to Dak's situation, too, that coaching isn't helping him?
Yeah, I would say
Probably could, because we saw what happened with Dak when he had the right
Garrett.
when he had the right kind of coaching, even at Mississippi State, when he had the right kind of coaching.
Yeah.
Right? When he had a couple former Utah guys, when he had Dan Mullen and he had Brian Johnson, Dak became suddenly this NFL dark horse.
Yeah.
All right. 877-353-0700. Jason Aldean coming to the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater September 7th. Also, FightCon tickets. The University of Alabama extended the contract for their GM. Yeah, that's right. College football has general managers. Their GM had this reported number as his new salary. How many thousands of dollars are they paying this man, Courtney Mason, to be the GM for Kalen DeBoer and the University of Alabama? 877-353-0700 for those tickets. Jason Aldean, September 7th. FightCon on October 5th. One last break. We'll come back with some Brian Flores sound. He responded to what Tua said. Tua Tagovailoa just trashed his former head coach. his former head coach finally got a chance to speak. We'll give you a sound on the other side. It's the Sean O'Connell Show wrapping up on ESPN 700.
Two tight end look. TJ Pledger in the ball game. Cam Rising at the line of scrimmage, changing the play. First down handoff. Pledger into the hole, spins off a tackle, gets to the 16-yard line, picks up a yard, and that's it. They ran right at the teeth, and Utah got no push up front that time. Tackle on the play by Rover linebacker Raymond Scott.
Yeah, this is just a straight-ahead zone read here. The tight end pulls and tries to seal that backside, just gets there a little late and kind of gets the play blown up. But, this Utah team's got to come off the ball here.
4 wide look on 2nd down and 9 from their own 16. USC with 4 at the line of scrimmage, 7 in the box. Play action, flanker screen thrown out into the flat to Britton Covey. He's got it at the 20 and spun down. That's Brant Keithy, actually, who came up with that grab. We're a distance away from the field. The 8s and the 0s get mixed up. Keithy picks up about 4 on the play. 3rd down and 5 coming up.
Seeing a better job of 2nd down. Utah's shown so much run on 2nd down. And this is a high percentage play. It's almost like a running play still. And now they're in a manageable 3rd down.
4 wide look on 3rd down and 5 from the Utah 20. They bring Keithy into the left slot. Cam backpedals, looks, fires outside, caught, complete to the outside, but taken down after a 1-yard gain. Mekhi Bernard out of the backfield. USC strung that out, used that athleticism and their speed to get there, and Utah's going to have to punt on a 3 and out.
Yeah, and Cam's got to make a better throw there. He threw it a little bit behind Bernard. He gets it to him in stride. He can turn that shoulder upfield and maybe miss a tackle, but get close to the 1st down.
Gary Bryant back to receive. They've got an off-return man as well back there. Cam Peasley stands at his own 8-yard line to punt this ball away. USC's going to set up the return here. Peasley's punt. Good spiraling kick. Looking up into the sun is Bryant. He takes it at his own 35, and he is going to be wrapped up and taken down immediately at the 35-yard line. Good kick coverage that time by the Utah special teams. Like Clark Phillips was down there doing it. Timeout on the field. Both teams have had the ball. Both teams had to punt. 9:03 to play here in the first quarter from the LA Memorial Coliseum and the Big O Tires broadcast booth. Today's Utah football broadcast being brought to you proudly by Bud Light. Utah fans, welcome back to Rice Eccles this year. This year, Bud Light is for the fans. I'm Bill Riley. That's Scott Mitchell. Slides downstairs with the LA Memorial Coliseum. 9:03 to play first quarter. 0-0 our score. Both teams had the ball once. SC moved at the midfield, had to punt. Utah went 3 and out. SC has it 1st and 10 at their own 36-yard line. I thought it was a pretty good effort by the defense on that first drive, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what you're seeing, playing downhill, playing aggressively, not letting these athletic guys get going, get them stopped before they get started. They didn't do a good job on the one bubble screen. They did it on the second one, and when you cover it, then the teams tend to go away from it. And so Utah's shown that they're going to cover that, so you probably won't see a lot more of that in this game.
4 wide look here on 1st down from their own 36-yard line for Keaton Slovis and the USC Trojans. Keontae Ingram remains in the ball game as the lone tailback, standing next to Slovis in the shotgun from the 36-yard line. Slovis changing the play now, looking at the Drake London to his left. Utah with 6 at the line of scrimmage. Motion man, the tight end, Wolf. They're going to throw that flanker screen outside. Trigg has it. He's beyond the 40 and out to about the 43-yard line goes freshman Michael Trigg. He's a big dude, too. 6'4", 245 for Trigg, who picks up 7 on 1st down.
From the
and what's
Murdoch
interesting
Hyundai
is that Utah's in a 3-man
ESPN
front.
700 and 92.
Here they go again, throwing that ball out.
Congrats to all of you who texted the correct answer to our trivia question. $825,000. Woo! Love that money. That's how much Alabama is paying for their general manager to stay on. Reportedly, USC offered him more than $1 million, and he's from Southern California. But Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Mason, who that's the name of the GM at Alabama, have a good thing going. They've worked together at multiple stops, including at Washington, Fresno State, prior to that. And so they're staying together. And Alabama has made some serious splashes in recruiting and in transfer portal and in retention of great players. And that's the thing. That's the plan. All right. Wanted to give you one more piece of sound before we get out of here on the Sean O'Connell Show. We played for you 2 days ago when Tua Tagovailoa basically went in on his former head coach, Brian Flores, said that this guy used to trash me, and the new coach came in and told me that I'm great. And Brian Flores had an opportunity to offer his thoughts on the matter, and here's what he said.
Specific to the comments that were made by Tua, I just want to say, look, I'm happy, genuinely happy, genuinely happy for the success that Tua's had, and I really wish him nothing but the best. And I think player relationships are very important to me. I think that's kind of the foundation of coaching. I got into coaching because I was impacted as a young guy by my high school coaches, my college coaches, by going all the way to Pop Warner. I got into coaching because I want to make that same kind of impact, positive impact, pour into young people, help them become, as KO says all the time, the best versions of themselves. And that's really my goal always in coaching. So I wish nothing but the best to Tua. Really, more than anything, I'm just focused on the Vikings, the 2024 Vikings, the players we have. You saw a couple of guys up here, just a couple minutes ago, Metellus and HP. I think, their leadership, their friendship is important to me, and I'm just, I'm excited about this group.
Took the high road, in my opinion. Flores said he was happy for Tua, and that sounds to me like a guy who is genuinely kind of in some self-reflection about realizing he guessed wrong on the approach he should have taken with Tua Tagovailoa and with his head coaching opportunity. Didn't motivate those guys the right way, didn't establish the kind of relationships that he wanted to establish. He did not deny any of the allegations, and I think he said, you know what? I was wrong in not so many words.
You could say that he took the high road. I would say that he's a guy that is guilty of everything that Tua accused him of.
I think he admitted that to an extent.
Yeah, I think he admitted it by not denying it.
Sure.
And saying that he has taken some time to be better. And because Tua basically, I don't think you properly put how strong Tua's words were. He said when you have a horrible person telling you every day that you don't belong here, that somebody else should be here, that you're horrible at your job, he said, I don't care if you're anybody, the president of the United States, if somebody's doing that, you're going to start to believe it. Whether it's negative things that you're being told or positive things being told, you're going to start to believe that over time. And Flores didn't deny any of it, which tells me that he was ridiculously and over the top hard on Tua, because otherwise he would have said, I was always encouraging Tua. I never told him that. So he must have said some horrible stuff to him.
I think you're right. I think that was probably in his mind a strategic decision. I'm going to give this guy,
hell.
I'm going to give him fire, and he's going to feel the burn, and then he's going to decide to play above the level he's at right now. And that was the wrong guess or the wrong decision to make or the wrong strategic approach, or however you want to say that. And I think you're absolutely right, Zachariah. You're 100% right. If he didn't believe that he had done it wrong and he was like, no, I didn't say those things to Tua. Tua calling me a horrible person is wrong. I was not telling him he's not good. I was trying to motivate him. I think he heard what Tua said and be like, oh, man, I screwed up on this guy.
And also remember, he came from Belichick. Belichick is going to have to change his ways if he's going to get back into the NFL. And I just wonder if he only did it to Tua or if he was doing it to all the players on the team. And real quickly, because I know we got to go, I'll be filling in tomorrow and Friday.
Correct.
From 11 to 2. We're going to play your interview with Cam tomorrow.
The Rising Report.
Tomorrow at noon. Make sure you tune in. Follow me on Twitter at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. All right, I'm done promoting myself.
You are going to love what Cam Rising had to say in the first Cam Rising interview. The Rising Report every week on the Sean O'Connell Show. Make sure you tune in on Friday on ESPN. I'm calling fights in Washington, D.C. It's the playoffs. The hunt for $1 million for the Professional Fighters League is happening in earnest. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Stay tuned for The Drive with Spence Checketts. That's next on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700.